Okay. Hey. What do you mean I'm late? I'm perfectly on time. I said 9:30, it's 9:30. So what is up with this chat? I also don't know what... This is one of my fashion channel, whatever. Oh, is this my... Okay, this is my whole desktop, not just the game. That's good to know. So, I will announce this on Discord. God, it's so daunting when that pop-up comes. It says like, do you want to share this with 1,000+ members? And I'm like...
Hello. Makes sense. Do whatever you want.
Interesting. Since when was I muted? Somehow I got muted on OBS and I don't know why. I just got muted on OBS for... I wonder if I just hit a keybind that I don't know of. Whatever, if I'm audible now, then I guess we can start. See, I was just talking about the supporters button. The supporters button just opens up Steam, and there will be a paid DLC that doesn't add any new content. Like, there's no new levels or anything. It just reskins a few things, and it's just a way for you guys to support us if you want. Because doing this through Steam is much easier than through like Ko-fi.com or something, like taken directly for PayPal or something like that. Because then you have to. It's a whole tax nightmare. It's pretty much the only reason. So yeah, Sarah is gonna join us in a bit. It's 6 in the morning in Australia, so let's be fair to her. It's a nightmare to get everyone together at the same time. So yeah, well, let's start with. I will just start because there's so much in the beginning here to talk about that we can wait. We can wait for Sarah. Let me just quickly rearrange this here, and then I put Discord there. So yeah, this is the cutting room floor. I wonder if Monty's gonna join us because he said he had time. SDK will also be released soon. We are kind of packaging it all up at the same time. We fixed one of the last stupid bugs in Hammer, and that's gonna be out not too long. Right, so yeah, previous chapter we got teleported from by the spire, which broke, and it's a very resonance cascade sort of effect, similar to Half-Life 2 and Half-Life 1, of course. It's all very Half-Life inspired. And the portal gun breaks, which just put it here with a few sparks. Yeah, this area is inspired very heavily inspired by Inside, where I played that. I downloaded it on Steam. It's one of my favorite games because it has such a nice atmosphere, and it has such simple graphics that pretty much just like it doesn't have too much going on in terms of texturing. Its textures are very solid colors a lot of the time. It doesn't have crazy PBR materials for most of the time, but they just utilize lighting and composition, all of that so well to make such a cool scene. And they have this sort of underground beach, and I wanted to make something similar because what the idea was that you were teleported to the edge of Aperture, right? Like you're the furthest you've been from the place that you've known. So when you wake up, you just see nothingness. You just see the large cave. During development, other mappers they like put some Aperture decoration here, and I always removed it because I said no. Like the whole it looks bland, but the whole point is that you're at the edge of Aperture, sort of, and a conscious choice to go back into the nightmare because there is no other, like if you had been teleported to a wheat field, then yeah, maybe you could actually escape, but down here there's nowhere you can really go, so you just have to go back. And this has turned out really nicely with all of this. Yeah, since we don't have the polygon anymore, it's hard to design gameplay around this, so we mainly just added a lot of like cinematic things to look at. All of these like cables sparking and lights flashing. The composition of this was also sort of inspired by Nova Prospekt in Half-Life 2. You don't really climb this structure, but yeah, it is often weird to see what like talking about what inspiration was, and you look back and it's like it has nothing to do with it, but it's, yeah, as a designer you just pick up these little nuggets and combine them into something that's unique. And here I really like having these like overhangs, like it's just a rock face and then you have these structures that all tower on top of each other. I think it always looks really cool. The beginning of this, this act I think has gone through the most changes in this development. Chapter 1 hasn't really changed since that was finished, at least not too much. after chapter 2 we moved on to act 3. I mean, and this act took a lot of reiteration, especially the beginning. I always sort of wanted the player to feel like they're in this dark underground area where, you know, very cave like. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I do read chat. I just can't answer everything while I'm talking. You're in this underground cave. I watched a lot of YouTube videos.
But I
Not a
answer the
lot.
questions in chat.
Oh, you're loud. Holy shit. You can answer them in. I mean, you can answer them in chat.
I'll just type them, yeah.
Yeah, if you want. Yeah, I watched some YouTube videos where they're like taking a canoe into an underground lake cave, and it's all just lit with like head flashlights, and I thought that was such a creepy feeling. So you'll see a lot of like underground lakes and stuff like that. First iterations, you would actually. There have been so many different beginnings of this act. I think this is like the 4th or 5th or even 6th iteration. At one point, you would even start in an underground mining city sort of thing. But that didn't work out too well because that was even more of a walking simulator than this. Yeah, one of the problems if you don't have the portal gun is hard to make gameplay in a game called Portal. So this is a very walking simulator kind of experience, and we scale it down more and more and more. It's still a bit too much for my liking, but I'm honestly surprised. I thought the players would like hate this section more than they did, because there's just more to look at. But yeah, during the development there wasn't as much to look at. Like here you've got these little events and the big Aperture logo that you walk through, and I've got this whole section. Yeah, this was actually added really late. Previously you would like, this was all just rock face, and you would walk through here through a little corridor and then end up in another large cave, but then we just combined the two caves together because it was just so much walking. I wanted to have this little thing here. We actually had like a large stadium light that would like illuminate this whole area, so that the idea this is like this really sad underground beach vacation sort of place, where the employees would come from there and have their, you know, beach drinks or whatever. It's like really sad and depressing, all artificial underground. We took out the lighting and but yeah, this is still here, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, this I think Monty made this. This was actually from the old, like this little structure here was from the old underground city salt mining place, and we just recycled it. But yeah, most of the things I think I built in here, except for that. Maybe some other little details. Like most areas, you know, in most areas people, like all kinds of people touched little things, but in terms of like major creation, that is usually one person. Yeah, I really like so one of the things I did here is I didn't want it all to be on just one axis, right? Because in Hammer it's really easy to make things that work on like the cardinal direction. Sort of like when you build in Minecraft, everything is aligned to the grid, right? So it's easy to build that in Hammer. It's kind of hard to build things that are rotated. So what you do is you make an instance and put the entire section that you want to be rotated into that instance. That makes it a bit harder to edit because now your map suddenly has, you know, dozens of instances. So this is an instance, this is an instance, this is one large instance, this whole structure is an instance. But it also helps to sort of just, if you have a little area that is in its own map file, you can just focus on that little area and just decorate that bit and then stick it into one map or multiple maps, you know, copy paste it around. Most of the time you don't even notice. Yeah, I think Monty built this little area. I think it's pretty cool. Directs the player quite nicely that you have to walk over here. Yeah, I always wanted to have an area where you have to sort of walk over pipes. The idea is that you're navigating this space in a way that you're not meant to, right? You're sort of like winding your way through the facility, finding your own path. Not really just, opening doors and walking through corridors that like have that is like an obvious planned path, but this is just you're sort of just winding your own path through the facility. Yeah, the composition is quite nice here. I think this is really cool. A lot of this stuff was decorated really late. As same thing with like this, with like rotates down, just because we really needed it to be a bit more interactive. There was a waterfall here, but I couldn't get the effects right. All waterfalls have been deleted. There are no more waterfalls. Yeah, Trico. Yeah, there was a bug where you could really select instances in Hammer properly. Like you could click on entities like the lamps, but you couldn't click on the brushes. That bug has been fixed. That was one of the things that we needed to fix for before we could ship the SDK. New catwalks next to old ones. Yeah. I mean, I just picked this because there's a nice and destroyed variant. Their idea here is that you're sort of making your way from old to new aperture, like in this weird transition period. So there's a lot of like concrete structures that you would see in like 80s, 50s, and 70s era, and then you've still got the plastic and arm panels and stuff that you would see in like modern aperture. So this is all still like old mixed in with new methods. That was sort of the idea here. And later we, as you go along, you will see how we transition more and more into the modern aperture stuff. I mean, even here, you start at the beach, it's very concrete, and now you're here entering this more modern aperture looking structure with a lot of vac tubes and things like that. I really like this little hole where the pipes run through. It's always really cool. Yeah, this structure was actually also from the old underground city, and we just moved it here. Like this, all of this beginning stuff, it's a mishmash of different eras. I really like this stuff where you're sort of, I don't know. I think it's just cool having all of these like columns in the water, all of this stuff hanging from above. Act 3 is definitely one of my favorite like visual acts for all of its dark areas. It's really difficult to design dark areas because you still need them to be bright enough so people can see where they have to go. Right, so it's difficult to balance that, to balance aesthetics and visuals. Yeah, so here 1980, and as we walk along, this number will move through the 80s. Let's see its history. Come on, Sarah, wake up. We're almost at your part. Yeah. I mean, I think this is pretty cool. I like having little dynamic lighting events and stuff like that, Like scripting that stuff is really cool. Oh, look at this, Rory! Volumetrics!
Yo, really? Yo, it's actually used.
Yeah.
It's used somewhere in the game. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, there are. Maybe we do use it. It's just so subtle that most people don't even notice it.
I didn't notice it.
Yeah.
I played through this chapter yesterday to catch up.
Yeah. I mean, that was also the goal, right? That we don't use it. Like, oh, we have this new technology, we're so excited,
let's use it everywhere.
Yeah, let's use it everywhere, make it really obvious and stuff like that. But how to make it a bit more like a bit more subtle, so it enhances the experience without being obnoxious.
Yeah.
I think for this is really cool because it actually makes use of the dynamic, shadow stuff and all of like it's properly dynamic because the light moves. A lot of times you could just replace it with cheaper tech, like with cheaper methods of making like volumetric rays. For stuff like this, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, this area is also quite cool. This whole
using
map
it for
is
swing light is kind of creative. We couldn't really use it for the core though because they look really bad when you view them from the back side.
Yeah.
So, and that was one of the things I was kind of disappointed about was because like the core flashlight seemed like the perfect thing for it, but I didn't get that to.
Yeah, I mean they already have a particle effect on them, which fools people more than it should. Yeah, this whole map was kind of a nightmare to like sort of script, because you revisit areas and then lights change and you have a portal gun, so it's a lot of moving parts in this map. Most of the time you just have an area and it's it, and then you have the next area, but here you move through it multiple times, so yeah, it's just hard to make this sort of stuff. I like this little security checkpoint thing. The idea that I had was that Aperture was moving their employees from the old to the new offices, and then they had this, like, all of the employees would have to walk through this one security checkpoint. So they have this large elevator and then just this tiny little booth and big waiting area for test subjects. They get the crappy waiting area with the crappy folding chairs. They don't even have the proper, don't even have the same color everywhere. These are probably like the files for the test subject or something. And then they have the nice waiting area for the employees, and they would they would have like some weird Aperture propaganda, whatever, like some weird Aperture advertising videos from. This isn't even aligned. Aperture can't even build a projector properly. With the speakers that Rory made, yay!
Yeah.
They're used more than once.
Epic.
Yeah, this is a custom poster that I think I just found it on. Someone made it and posted it on Reddit, and I asked, hey, can we use this? This looks really, really nice, and then we got permission. Yay!
Yippee.
Yeah, I like little things like little details like that where you aren't even sure if this is like a lot of people won't even realize that this isn't from the game. That is custom.
Isn't the one on the left from the game?
Yeah, this is from the game, this is from the game, and this is custom. Right? You can't tell which is custom and which isn't. And that's the best sort of custom assets, I think. I always find it fun when people they make pictures, post it on Reddit, like, I found this poster in Portal Revolution, but it's actually just from the base game. So nice.
Well, that's kind of like the goal for any of the assets, is to make sure that it doesn't look out of place next to another.
Yeah, exactly. The thing with that is, a lot of people, is that people don't notice that you did anything at all, right?
Yeah, that was the thing that when I watched the Yahtzee video, he said like, "Oh, this is a really interesting mod, even though it doesn't use any custom 3D models."
Yeah,
and at first I was really like, at first I was kind of like pissed off about that, but then I realized like, oh, that just means that door that I made in the thing fits so well that he didn't realize that it wasn't a Portal 2 door, which is, if anything, a compliment. At least that's how I take it.
Yeah, like, even if you don't make a completely new model, we have so many model or texture edits where we just either improve the look of existing assets or made variations of existing assets. Like, for example, all of these plaster walls here, normally these walls have a little seam every 128 units, and I made a version that's seamless, so you can just stretch it across the whole area here. And then I made one that works for above, for below. Okay, this carpet isn't custom, but this carpet is custom. It's got a new Aperture logo on it. And this thing is an existing model that we just changed to make it better work for static props that are like here, just on a wall. This is a custom glass. Yeah, there's so much, like even these lights, the off version doesn't work in Portal 2, so I had to change quite a lot of things to make this work in the engine. There's so many little model edits that no one will ever notice. Yeah. You also made this open door, right? Like this is a model that's from Portal 2, but we changed the material to be blue instead of orange. And you made it so we can open it, yeah. Also, thing that we tend to forget ourselves. And also things like these little sign, like just this little paint on the floor. These signs are, you know, all custom.
I'm surprised at how well the specular reflection on that hole held up.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like the original material and stuff, but.
Yeah, they had a nice map for it, a nice bump map for it. Yeah, the elevator shaft. You had to make sure that you couldn't like fall down there, like get yourself stuck before you get the portal gun. I think this is so funny that this sign is still up here, because because previously this whole platform, like this platform is now at the bottom level, would be at this level. So the sign would make sense because you could walk by it, but then we changed it for various reasons, and the sign just doesn't move. I think it's pretty funny. Yeah, we've got some nice parallels for the cube maps here. Some cool Stratosaurus tech. That the reflections actually stick where they should be. Stalling. I'm not actually stalling. I'm actually just taking my time to go for everything. I saw a comment of like on one of the other gameplay like playthroughs, and it said like I'm just sitting here saying just played already, and I'm thinking if you just want to see someone play through the game normally, there are many other playthroughs. I want to take the time and go through everything and talk about it, tell these stories, you know. And here we've got a little like 1978 and then 1980 besides it. It's like they're building from one to the other. This is a lot more like concrete sort of stuff. The next to it is this plastic.
Literally 1978.
Literally. Yeah, this silo, I don't know if it's, so this was just a rectangular room, and the whole map felt a bit boxy, so I made it as like a little circle thing. And I don't know if it is, but this could be the most bottom layer of the spire, you know? Maybe it is. I've got the yellow doors here. Monty's idea. Yeah, I added like lighting an area that's supposed to look like it's like offline. Like the lights are also off is really hard, because how do you see anything? Obviously, you know, you can have your red like lights, but it was really hard to find any reference for that, because I swear that places have, you know, red emergency lights that are like on generators or something, but I couldn't find any reference for it. None. So this is, I don't know if this even exists. I mean, maybe this is a weird Mandela effect sort of situation, but I couldn't find any reference for this. So I also added a lot of these lights where it's like the scanner monitor. They give off a lot of nice light. I mean, here it's not necessary, but in other areas this gives off some lights.
Weren't those used quite a bit in the Wheatley And like the section where you're escaping from GLaDOS in Spaceport, and like the earlier.
I mean,
Like,
I don't think they used it that much there. I played for it lately. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. They have it in the factory. Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, they have it there as well. Yeah, that's also good. Yeah. Yeah, those are quite nice. Because they give off just enough light so you can see something, but not too much to look like, it's well lit.
And they're able to guide you through the environment without using a lot of yellow paint.
Look who joined.
Hey!
Good morning / good evening / good day.
How are you, Sarah? Tired?
Oh, look, we're living, and I love it.
We haven't gotten to your part yet. There are people in chat say I'm stalling.
Oh, that's okay. I will quietly eat my hot cross bun, so you don't get the beautiful ASMR mouth sounds.
Okay, so let's talk about the cones, should we? Until you're done eating, let's talk about the cones for 15 minutes.
Exactly, let's do
The
it.
blessed kerns.
Yeah. I like how the community also embraces the cones. That's just too well made. When Monty made these, I was like, wow, you really nailed it at exactly how I wanted it to, because this was my idea. I pitched him and he didn't really know what I wanted, and then he made it perfectly. Yeah.
And you have the professional stacking method. I've seen so many people fumble. I fumble trying to stack these cones.
Yeah, I mean,
you've got it.
Source
I
Engine
think
Pro.
the best I had was 5 or 6 cones stacked. I got pretty good at it.
This area, I always like it when you see areas that you've previously been to, or where you will be. Even if you don't notice it in the moment, it makes the whole area just feel more connected. So here, this is where you will be later.
2 train station.
Oh my god! Yeah. when we saw that, when I saw that later, I was like, "What the hell?" Yeah. So exactly like that. Little sparks. So we just fall through here, and then this is the little museum that you later go through. I think it's always cool when the areas are connected and it feels like Aperture is actually a place, rather than just a series of corridors that you walk through. Yeah, this is obviously a sort of, we have these sort of areas in Portal 2, where it's this Aperture lobby for the 50s and 60s, or was it 70s. But we never got one for the 80s, and I thought, I mean, this whole act, tries to explore the 80s Aperture a bit more. The sort of area after Cave died, because actually I will activate the voice line if you're all waiting for, and then tell my stories. But this area took a lot of this took so much time to make. This took so many iterations. I always had to make it bigger and bigger and bigger. This was so much smaller before, and then I always just increased the scale of everything until it became big enough. Yeah, getting this to work in a Source Engine where all the lights turn on is really difficult. Well, Sarah, you're ready.
Always. Do you want me to awkwardly say it exactly the same time?
No!
Do it.
I'll put up the sound.
To the Aperture Science Enrichment Center. How was that? Okay, good. The fact you're standing here tells me that you want to help us revolutionize the world. Just like we have for over 30 years. Wrong draft? This one? Lunch at 10.
This is still too low.
Wait, where are you going? Are we not finishing my part?
Should I start or do you want to start, Sarah?
Well, it depends on what we want to talk about, I suppose.
Yeah, this is the second take. The first take was the first line you ever delivered for Revolution, and even when we were recording it, I thought we're going to re-record this anyway. but actually,
Yeah.
all we changed in the second take was make it more obvious that it's like that Conley doesn't know how to do voice acting, right? We sort of.
Hey, that's a roast.
No, the whole idea was that Conley was an intern, and she just, they just said, here, do these voices for us, because Kate is dead, who's gonna do them? I don't know, let's just make the intern do it, even if they were just temporary lines, I don't know. The idea is that this is also under construction, but this was never used, actually, so they just, maybe put temporary voice lines in there. And their idea that, the Conley would, give this super overly enthusiastic speech.
It was really nice to just have a line I was sort of able to throw. Like when you're warming up, usually the first line you do is gonna sound bad. But for this one, I was allowed to sound bad. So it was really nice.
Yeah.
Someone's asking. This was an actual interaction in the recording studio. That's what it is. That's what it's meant to be.
Yeah, that's what it's meant to be. I thought about adding muffled director, noises into it, where I would just actually put my speak.
Your voice.
Yeah, I would just speak nonsense sounds from the next room and have it record with microphone here.
Muppet noises.
Yeah, exactly. It would just be whoa, 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 whoa. Exactly. I never did that eventually. I don't know if it was. I mean, I just got so used to it that I just forgot that I wanted to do that. I did record a little click clack at the end though, which is a bit loud, but whatever. Also, the mastering for that was I had to strike the balance between broken speaker, but you can still understand what she says. And that little jingle.
It's really interesting, Stefan, because you'd never really mastered audio until
Nah.
this project, really. So,
No, but I have experience. I have experience making stuff sound bad. I know how to make stuff sound bad. I don't know how to make stuff sound good, but that was
Look, same.
perfectly my abilities to make it sound worse. Yeah, and also I think what really sells the little comedic tone is the jingle that Jared made. The little overly enthusiastic which is played from the same speaker. Yeah, because it also, I told him, this should sound sort of it should sort of sound cheesy and crappy, it's just a single synth that just goes and then I just compressed and shittened up the sound. I think it makes it so nicely to be this introduction to a character that we don't really know yet, and I feel like a lot of players will think that this is Caroline. That was a difficult balance, right? We didn't want her to sound like she knew, we didn't want Conley to sound like she knew what, sound too sophisticated already in the first line, to sort of have her sound like she doesn't really know what she's doing.
Yeah, and in the context of the rest of the lines, when we get there, it's nice to sort of go from a really cheesy kind of voice to something that's a lot more genuine.
Yeah, I think that's you really did that good. Well, I think we also did you do a different accent for this line?
It's just when Australians are forced to speak clearly, it comes out sounding different. But
Yeah.
it should all be the same.
I think we talked about whether Conley would try to make a British accent to make it sound sophisticated or whatever. I mean, it doesn't come across too greatly, but I also can't really tell the difference between some of these accents a lot of the time.
No. I've had a lot of people a lot of Australian people like pip it immediately. They'll go, "Oh, it's an Australian accent," but it's just a very clean sounding Australian accent.
Well, back to the map. You guys remember this? I made this in the live stream. This is what it was for. Yeah, it took a long time to make this area. I also really like adding all of these little things, like the lights turn on, the soundscape changes. You can now see this Aperture logo in all its glory of all of the lights here. You have the paint pipes pumping stuff. The rail access, yeah. You've got the fans spinning, the fog changes, you can see all the way up now. We had some trouble, people didn't really know that they had to go here, so we tried to, I changed this, like, I made this wall brown, and then added a blue tarp and all this stuff, which sort of just calls more attention than a completely grey wall. Just cause a little bit more attention. Also sort of looks like they tried to make it look fancy. It didn't work, but whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
that tarp is the MVP.
yeah, Monty's tarps are always, yes, good tarp glory. I made the mesh and said, "Here, Rory, make material," and he made it. I think he updated the mesh as well. But yeah, import, because we can no longer import models into Source at that point, models into Blender at that point, like maps into Blender. So I had to model all of the like physics stuff from scratch in Blender manually, which was a pain. So I thought, you know, if I do the annoying part, maybe Monty will do the material. So lead dev, you always have to, you know, throw your devs a bone some of the time, so they do what you want them to. That's the thing about making a mod. The lead dev really needs to do a lot more work than I think a lot of lead devs think they need to do. I've seen some mod projects where the lead dev sort of just tells other people, "Hey, yeah, this is what I want. Map this for me, please." It never ends well. Oh yeah, this is, I mean, obviously inspired from some beta stuff. We have got this diorama. We actually used to have.
Here's my #1 contribution to the mod.
Yeah, yes. We actually used to have these another area for 40s, but we removed it because we didn't really know what to say. So we just, yeah. I like that how much the colors pop in this stuff. I don't know. I think Frosty made these buckets here, and Rory modeled the new mannequins, which I then posed.
The mannequins are just the perfect level of creepy in the face.
Yeah. Because they have no eyes, it makes them so unsettling.
There's like
Yeah,
a
the one thing
recess
that I
where
was
the
kind
eye
of
should be.
unsure about with the model was that the original mannequin had basically like this chiseled like Giga Chad
Yeah.
like face.
It had the 5 polygon
This
chin.
looked like this.
Yeah, I think it's different, but I think it works. Yeah, I mean, we mainly remade them because the original material was just kind of bad. It was way too shiny, and we could have also just changed that. But the whole model was very low poly in general. So we and these limbs weren't even connected by anything. They were just floating. Like this section was just floating. So, you know, talked to Rory whether we could remake this, and he did. You did a really nice job. You like they look like the original, but just higher fidelity.
That's the goal.
Yeah, I had this little like graph down here. There's a lot of stuff you can see here, but there's also this little like graph that shows the stock price, and here it's skyrocketing at the end. Yeah. Here we get a new portal gun, the 3rd one. Look at him, creepy. Did I hide my view model? Or is this the funny bug that never happens to me? Unless I'm on stream.
It happened to me when I played as well.
It It's weird that it happens even when it's okay, interesting, whatever. It's so stupid to fix because it's completely unreproducible. Like, there's no way that I found to reproduce it.
I mean, it happened pretty much every time for me when I...
Really.
Yeah.
The thing is, it never happened to me before we released the mod. Not a single time. So, you know, somebody says, hey, this happens, and I thought, you know what, they just probably changed some console variables or something. And then a mod comes out and everyone is freaking out. The model is missing, the model is... And I'm like, what the hell is going on? No, it's not missing. Yeah.
Worst way to respond.
Yeah, I mean, as a dev, you're sort of just, I don't want to deal with this bullshit.
Yeah.
Especially when you can't reproduce it. So yeah, the new model. Monty made this as well. The idea that this is like they like sold different skins of portal guns to their customers when they were in the 80s. Oh yeah, I want to talk about that whole idea. My idea was that when Cave died, you know, Aperture was then led by a boring business team of businessmen in business suits who are completely unimaginative and just pride themselves off the previous work. You know, like, because if you have like this company and this figurehead, when you lose that figurehead, it's often hard to recover from that. Let's look at like Apple when they kicked out Steve Jobs, and when he died, there's always just something missing.
I think the funniest thing though about that is that like Cave Johnson himself isn't exactly the smartest.
Yeah,
like...
he isn't. But he defines the soul of early Aperture, right? Making completely ridiculous products and just doing the stupidest experiments. And after that, they were like, okay, let's tone down the stupidity and let's just sell what works. So, you know, they would work on the portal gun, make that a product, sell as many like Hello Kitty skins as they could, and then have this like little diorama that, you know, when you visit Aperture, you would follow the orange line.
God, it's like the year is 2050. The apocalypse, the apocalypse wasteland, covers the earth. One wastelander wields a Hello Kitty portal gun.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is it a tune?
Yeah.
One of the ideas that we originally had, remember in the meeting, that didn't end up kind of falling through, mostly just because of time, was that at a certain point you'd get like there would be a couple of portal guns on display.
Nah,
you could
I mean,
pick and then,
no,
like...
that wasn't the idea. The idea was that we would have a sign that would show other skins that were available for purchase, and maybe there would be like a booth here, and maybe we have them on display here, but you would only be able to actually take like this one from the mannequin. Yeah, the idea was always that after we made the red logo, I thought, you know, it would be a missed opportunity to not have a red portal. Especially because, you know, P2C, I added the option for portal colors to change in single player, so I expanded that to work better for campaigns. And then we have the red color. We had some ideas like a flower, like a red rose Valentine's Day sort of portal gun skin or whatever. There were a lot of ideas thrown around, and we just ended up with this like hazardous looking portal gun it's got like hazard stripes. The idea was it's like the high performance portal gun, and you don't know whether that's actually because like whether it's just a different name and Aperture just calls it that to sell more or whatever, or whether it's actually different and dangerous. We will never know.
It also gives some context to the different context to the Conley line later on,
Yeah. That line was completely recontextualized. That's true. But yeah, now we come through here and we go back through the elevator shaft here, and we're in the same areas as we were before, but it's different. The lights are on and the cubes are flying through the tubes. And now we can actually solve this puzzle that we've sort of teased before. The idea to like have this area where you turn on the power and then you see the tubes get activated. I think that was from a playtest with Anna, with Anamik from Portal Stories Mel. And I like stuff like that where you see the same area but it's different. And all of the monitors turn on. I think they maybe actually always turn on. I don't know. I don't remember. Because there are also nice light sources when it's offline. And then little portal puzzles that make you feel like, hey, you know, with this I can get past every one of these gates that I've, like, you know, who doesn't walk through such a gate like 10 times a day? We've all been there. Yeah. And then here again, this is very. These are actually very human spaces. Like rarely in Aperture do you actually make spaces for humans, especially in the upper layers of the facility. So here I really thought about, hey, there's this like second, like maybe here you can sit and wait for your buddy whose name is, you know, 100,000 down the list, and you have to sit here and wait for him or her, or whatever. And then there's this little like Aperture motel sort of thing where you've got the rooms up there, and it's very crappy. Yeah, I like making stuff like that where it just hints at something. But we're going to the other testing track. And still, you know, this cat book actually used the lead down here, so this would all connect. So it's actually like a space. Oh, and this was funny. This was a complete coincidence that we have the elevator go through this like tube, and then you can look out at the whole lobby where you've been. That was a complete coincidence because I had to add an elevator shaft right there, and I thought, oh my god, this goes right through the whole thing. And at first I was annoyed, and then I thought, hey, that's actually pretty cool. Let's just add windows in it. So yeah. Now we get more Conley.
Yippee!
Oh yeah, I also like doing things like that. And this is again with the whole thing of having the area be connected. Like here, you walk through and you can see the chamber before you enter it through this window. Things that you don't really need, but I think it makes the whole space feel a bit more interesting.
Oh, we're rolling? Okay. All right. We're trying something different with this test. If you've worked in device development, then you'll know what this is already. But if you don't, that will actually give us better data. So just have fun with it. It shouldn't be able to hurt you.
Isn't this the first take that we did, Sarah?
I think for a couple of these early ones, we only did like 1 or 2 takes. Not a lot of these weren't retaken. Later on, we'd just be like, "Yep, done," and move on.
Fix it. We never re-recorded this. Yeah. Okay, we were just re-emphasizing the idea that. So yeah, the idea here was that during the 80s they would try to come up with a lot of new devices. So they built these test chambers as cheaply as possible, and we walk through the pneumatic diversity vent, like testing track, and we see how they evolve from like a little office experiment where they just took an office, probably their own office, and then they just put up
this here.
Yeah, they just put up a bunch of, maybe this pipe was already here, and somebody just looked up and thought, hey, you know, next meeting I'm gonna pitch this. What else can I come up with?
How bad would it be if like the printer went through?
Oh god.
How many accidental like office chairs went through
Yeah.
those vents?
Yeah. Oh.
Oh.
I caught it. Yeah. This was all built to be like an office sort of test chamber. I really like the observation room up there, which is just sort of makeshift observation room. It's just a hallway where they put some chairs into, and it's actually the exit. I think that's so stuff like that is just so fun. When like this you don't think about this at first. It just looks like an observation room because you're used to Portal's language. It's actually just a hallway. Yeah, and this little sign that with a lot of these whiteboard signs. Mike modeled this, and then I made all the whiteboard textures for it. For this, I just drew it on my actual whiteboard, took a photo, and then put it in. I think it's fun to have this makeshift test chamber sign. Clearly, the red marker isn't working too well anymore.
Yeah, it's very cute. That and like I think like chamber 8 or something with like the hand drawn.
Yeah.
We'll get there when we get there. But that's so funny.
Yeah. I drew that completely digitally because I didn't know how else to, like, how would you photograph glass like drawings.
Yeah.
Yeah, first chamber is really simple. We actually don't start with with turrets. We start with cubes. So we can introduce right off the bat that they have an input and an output, because in like these tubes, people normally think of them as just being an input, like a garbage chute, right? But ours actually have an output as well. Not always. I mean, there are some that aren't connected to another end. Actually, I can't really think of many. But yeah, right off the bat, we emphasize that this is an input and an output. A lot of the stuff was like this whole area was made by Monty, I think, or was it Aiden? I think it was Monty. Same for the decoration up there. It's another. Gotta look up. This is definitely one of my favorite areas because this, oh my god, this is actually really old. I modeled this little like entrance area, and I had a vibe. I had a vibe in my head, and then I just started like making the entrance area, and it turned out completely different to what I first wanted to make, but it turned out to be in a really cool direction.
Is this the level with the concrete pillar, or did that get cut out?
That got completely removed. We changed it out with brushwork later.
Darn.
Yeah. Mainly because game engine limitations and stuff.
Yeah, it's really hard to do any sort of layout like that, kind of. Though I definitely didn't help because I tried to make PBR textures for Source Engine, and thinking that the PBR thing in Strata was good.
Yeah, the PBR shader didn't look good at the time at all. That didn't work out well.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw that actually like in in Engine, what it looked like a.
Yeah, at some point we just said, no, let's just not use PBR at all. Doesn't work. Let's just not do it. Yeah, so this area, I always like having like large awkward structures hanging from above that look like they're really precariously hanging there and will inevitably crush you. Things like this. I think it's just so cool, and then with all of the little effects. Yeah, and here again, the idea is that, you know, these areas are makeshift. They didn't plan to build this. They just took an existing area and then just shoved the test chamber into it with the cheapest materials they can find. And the actual entrance is over here, and you just make your way through this like awkward other end like way here, not the direct path. And here it's a one again.
Read the introductory guidebook about pneumatic diverse events, All pneumatic diversity vents in test chambers have been calibrated to a maximum capacity of 60 kilograms to prevent most humans from being sucked up and disposed of. If your body mass happens to be under 60 kilograms, extra caution is advised.
Yeah, and again with the whole idea of like building chambers as cheaply as possible. At the time, they were also using other employees as test subjects, as per Portal 2 lore, you know.
Yeah.
So the idea was that Conley, who works at Aperture, advises her other colleagues how these work. So this is more like a chatting with your own people sort of thing, rather than like being an announcement to test subjects.
That thing about like 60 kilos, it's always gotten me because I don't weigh 60 kilos.
Oh no.
So any woman, like any vaguely slight woman, would just be like, up those bells.
Yeah, that was another thing, right? Because these don't suck you up. They only suck up other objects. But players would always be like, I noticed this in playtesting very very early on, as the players would walk up to these and test if they get sucked up, and always have like questions. Oh, why doesn't it suck up me? And we could do it, right? But that sounds annoying.
Gameplay.
Yeah, it sounds annoying for gameplay. However, later we do have actives that actually can suck you up. In those cases, we always like change it up, because either the input is at the bottom. So in that case, from the visuals you can see, like, it makes more sense, right? That if you fall into one of these tubes, maybe then it would carry you, okay, but it can't suck you up from the floor. Right? That sort of logic helped quite nicely. Like, worked quite nicely.
Yeah, maybe the long fall boots, just don't allow you to be sucked up. Maybe they're like adding either weight, or we can come up with some random headcanon lore here, where we're just like, yeah, they got magnets in them, and that plate has magnets. You can't.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I mean, the thing I came up with just sounded very arbitrary, right? We'll just hope that most test subjects weigh more than 60 kilograms. If they don't, then that's just collateral damage or whatever.
I'm very impressed that our test subject, Kate, after so long in sleep, does not weigh less than 60 kilos.
Yeah.
She's just like, bone density is just incredible.
Some nice PBR. Not PBR, cube maps. Yeah, this area was actually... It's also pretty old. It went through many changes.
Yeah, I made that texture.
Yeah, I made this one. This used to be also like all metal and stuff, but then later we went through and tried to really show the progression of these areas, where they went from cheap materials later to full-blown, test chambers with proper tiles and everything. So then we went back and changed this to be wooden, which I think is such a cool style, because it's a mixture of the sort of 60s, 50s stuff, while also being mixed more with more new looking things.
It was inspired by that Counter-Strike.
True, yeah. It was also inspired by a CS:GO map, like the co-op campaign, where you would find a terrorist base, and they had like wooden replicas of the bomb sites from other maps, and I thought that was so cool. Yeah, we also thought about making like wooden placeholder turrets that they would just put there, as in like, put a turret here. We never really did that.
That would be such a jump scare.
Yeah, and it would actually work. It would just stand there. It doesn't even have a laser or anything. Yeah. Yeah, so here we added this lava pit here to show the players where the turrets would actually get delivered to, because before this pipe would just go into a wall and they would just be removed. But here you can actually see it. Oh, hi, Sven. Yeah, I thought there was a neat touch to add this little thing. And here, a lot of people don't even notice it until they go here, when they suck up the turret there, and then they see how it gets shot up, and then they follow it, and notice with the glass panel here that where they actually end up. Yeah, it's not a hard chamber, it's just a lot of the same thing, a lot of just killing turrets. So now players have gotten it out of their system, we can move to other more interesting things.
Well done. As a heads up, the following test chambers may not include pre-recorded messages like these, in order to measure how test subjects behave in environments lacking human contact. Good luck.
And the speaker.
More speakers, yeah. Yeah, the sound actually comes from multiple origins, which is a fun sausage feature. Yeah, we added that line pretty late because I noticed that players might be confused why, like, okay, because I obviously know all of the story, right? But players who would go through this for the first time, they would hear Condi here, then she would just disappear until in the next map we meet her as a core, and then we don't hear that voice in the test chambers again until much later when we added that little joke. So because we added that joke, I thought it would be nice to explain why we don't hear Conley in the chambers anymore.
Yeah, have her sort of excuse herself in story.
Yeah, and my thought is that they actually just fired her. But she doesn't. She doesn't say that. I don't know why, but it's like coming up with another test.
Layoffs.
Yeah, I don't know why they would have fired her, but that was the idea.
They got a scan of her brain. They've got a perfect replica. Like, they don't need another one of her.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe that was around the same time. You know, who knows?
That's horrible. But that's very like a capitalist businessman to do.
Yeah, it fits the boring businessman Aperture thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Act 3 is breaking up by non-test chambers a lot. And at first, all of this stuff was before you would enter the test chambers. So you would just have a lot of behind-the-scene stuff. Then test chambers, and that was just way too much at the start. Like it would be over an hour of just walking through Aperture before you get another chamber. So here we sort of changed out, and in the previous map, I didn't talk about the previous map, but yeah, you actually don't take the normal exit. You take a different exit because they taped off the door. And funnily enough, in the development, that exit that's taped off was actually where the elevator was. And then we moved it over. So we actually have the player go a different path, even in our development sort of universe, whatever. So yeah. Oh, there's a question for you, Sarah.
A question for me? Hold on, let me look at chat. Did you know about... Of course I did. Of course I did know about Portal. Portal's one of those games. Like, when I was in high school, my brother was playing, like, 1 and 2. And so we would, like, work out chambers together. And it was great. I love Portal so much. I replayed Portal 2 the other day and had the best time.
Yeah, in the message that I sent you, I explained a lot of stuff because I didn't know if you knew Portal, so I'm glad that you did.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't, it might have been more difficult for you to understand.
It is iconic. I found out that one of my co-workers hasn't played Portal, and I was like, but you have like a PC, you play games, like how have you never... It's like you're basically given a free copy when you join Steam. Like,
almost, yeah.
Get one, don't you? You get one. Like, I'm not sure, but I've always had a copy of it,
like
and I don't know where it
50
came
cents.
from. So,
I know a lot of people that have the Valve Complete Pack and have never played Portal or Half-Life.
Oh,
I paid full
absolutely.
price for those 2 games. I paid 20 euros for the pack when I bought it.
Oh, man. I mean, I haven't played Half-Life. I'm sorry, everybody. I just can't deal with, like, being jump scared by head crabs.
Yeah, Half-Life is an unexpected
Okay.
horror game sometimes.
Yeah. It's all well and good until you go around a corner and you're not ready for it.
Yeah. This whole area was inspired by highway overpasses and like what the space underneath looks like. Right, like this is like the highway up above you, and then there's like these concrete pillars and all of this stuff. That's just like, I mean, this is a theme that you can see in Revolution is I like having things above the player that are interesting, and you like
There's
crawl
a real
underneath them.
sense of verticality throughout the whole game. Like, there's a real sense of, like, you are so deep in the earth and you were going so high up again. Like, maybe they built it into a cliff face, like...
It's
Yeah.
a salt mine, so I guess that would make sense, like underground, like lifts
Mm.
and stuff.
Here we have a physics sim that you'd never see, because every player always walks right past it. Yay! And look at this, Rory, your volumetrics are back in action.
Yo,
Everyone on the team told, not everyone, okay, Monty said that these were way too strong, and everyone takes pictures here. I think they're just perfect.
yeah, it kind of worked. It definitely looks a lot better when it's going through like some kind of proper modeler and stuff.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that's when the projected textures look the best in general.
Yeah, when you're shadow casting stuff, you can't just apply them to everything. You have to be really deliberate with them.
Like I was at first kind of disappointed that in the SPA1 final test they weren't used, but then I realized like, oh wait, that might not have been the best place to use them anyways, because
Yeah.
because it's just like a normal spotlight that doesn't have any other. Yeah.
It also just didn't. I mean, yeah, it didn't work because the light doesn't come from anywhere. So if you look towards the light, it just makes no sense. And I could have, come up with something, but at that point in the game, in the development, I just thought, nah, let's just not use it there. Yeah, how it affected my life, that's another 4-hour stream. It's not. Yeah. Yeah.
And that fence. Fence.
Oh yeah, you made the fence. Yes. Yeah, and this is again one of those things. I could have just had the player walk straight through, right? But I took the time to make them walk through this entire thing. So now we have a cooler looking like vista from here. And here's 81.
Screenshotable moment.
Here it's 81. So we are progressing. You also made this open box. Remember that? It's a long time ago.
Did I?
Yeah. This is a box
Oh.
that exists in the game, but it was closed with like a turret and everything. So you just removed all of that and made it like have an inside so it's open.
Yeah, I remember.
Mm.
Yeah.
That was when we had the idea.
Oh, for the turret
Yeah,
packing.
for the turret unpacker.
Oh, right. I spent so much time making that. I'm so sad.
Yeah. Never really went anywhere.
But sometimes things don't really fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, just animating something like that is.
Yeah, and then also at that point I just didn't know where I would even put that in the game, right? So I thought let's just focus on more important things than like what's in the end a pointless detail. It would have like things like that, they improved the game, but there are other things that should have higher priority. The reflection's very nice. Easter eggs nobody found yet. I don't know what people have found yet, so I don't know.
I mean, I have to leave and be right back in like 10 minutes.
Okay. Oh yeah, this area is also looking really cool. That's a very nice moment here. People like this one. This is another one of those things where you don't realize at the beginning that this is where you have to go, right? But you see all of this stuff, you look out, and later you come back, and then you can actually go through the door instead of having like Conley reveal be before this part, right? So you just get Conley and she says, let's go through the store. She opens a new door and then it leads straight here. Actually moving back through the space is always more satisfying. And this is a gate here.
Yeah.
So later when you have Conley, you can't jump down here. And because you can't shoot portals at that point. You wanna say something, Sarah? Sorry, cut you off.
Oh no, that's fine. I was just agreeing because I was like, oh, Rory's not here. I need to be like
Ah.
talking to you so you don't feel like you're not talking to the void.
I'm fine talking to the void, but it's also nice hearing your side of this stuff. Oh god. Whatever. Yes. This is something that I added to insert this thing really late. So we had a large, awful looking blue, big, oversized monitor here that just said power off, and I added it as a like a placeholder. I never thought that this was. I always wanted to Hi.
Aha!
My internet has to die exactly when I'm streaming. It's
Just a momentary blip, hopefully.
I had to restart. It's a thing that I think our router is just awful. The router that our ISP gives, our ISP is awful, and the router is awful. And it sometimes just completely hangs up until we reboot it, and then it works again. So I just have to reboot it, but it sucks. And that happens when you stream. Is the stream back up? Can people hear us?
Not seeing anything on YouTube at the moment. Oh, wait. Hey.
Somebody said hello.
Hey.
I love my ISP. I love my router. They're so good. So yeah, what was the last thing that I said in the stream?
We were looking at the PowerPoint just before you upload Conley.
Right. Okay. So yeah, the idea was we have the cool projected video tech. Let's just replace the old bad-looking monitor. Could you hear me talking about the bad-looking monitor? I hope.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
It was a little bit about monitors, and then I was like, oh, were you gonna replace it with one of your amazing PowerPoint displays?
See, I couldn't hear that one from you.
There we go. That's where we left off.
PowerPoint displays? Oh, you mean my good presentation, my good slides?
Your excellent slides.
I thought about it, but then I just thought about like gameplay-wise, entering a room and pushing a lever isn't that interesting. So I thought let's have a little like a CD fetch quest. So you have to find the disc, and I didn't really think about it at the time, but it's pointed out later in the team. What if that CD or that disc contains her consciousness on it? And it makes total sense. I mean, it's even connected with a wire here to everything.
It is.
Yeah, that's my new headcanon now. Is it actually you're the one who plugs her in? Because
somebody needs to whip out a Nico marker and write on that like disc and be just like, this is it's like Amelia Conley date.
Yeah, I thought about making an update like that. Maybe we will. But yeah, let's activate it. Connie would actually just sit her on that, like here on the desk, and she would like find a claw and put herself on a rail here. That was changed out, so you just pick her up. That was when you would still. Oh god, I can hear myself on my phone. Background YouTube is okay. Yeah, but yeah, I changed it so you would just pick her up, so that all of this like scene here, selecting the proper core.
We done? happening here? Where am I? Who are you?
What's going on here? Where are my hands?
No, this can't be possible, can it?
Okay, let's do this properly. Sorry for my freak out. I will explain what just happened, but let's get out of here first. Can you pick me up?
You all good?
We're good? What do you mean?
All good?
Are you good? I can hear you.
It's fine. Alright, there we go.
That took so long to animate. Oh my god, animating Conley in this map took so much. Yeah, I did this so pretty late because I just kept holding it off. Because I find animation is pretty important and fun, but making it in face poser is sometimes quite a nightmare. I got pretty fast at it later, but especially in the beginning, my god. Yeah, we re-recorded this 3 times, Sarah.
We did. Just let's get the vibe right.
Yeah, at first she was very shocked because this is a difficult balance, right? Realistically, she would be very shocked and freak out, but we don't want her to be like that through the entire map, because that's just a bit. First of all, it's slightly annoying to listen to, and also you can stand here for 15 minutes, pick her up, and she says nothing in those 15 minutes, and then she's suddenly freaking out again. So yeah, we sort of changed it. Then we re-recorded it again to be a bit to be way too cool
Way too
and
freaky out.
collected.
Way too calm.
Yeah. She got over it way too quickly. So then we changed it back to where she's more just because she knew the dangers of all of this, right? It isn't like she
This isn't
she
like
fish out of the water.
You would sort of imagine working at Aperture in such an unethical environment. You would be really, really good at compartmentalizing. Like, you receive some information, you go, "I'll deal with that later,"
Yeah.
and just get on with your life.
Yeah, later we also explore when she talks about the presentation room of danger, how at first the things that got presented there shocked her, but then she just got used to it.
Like you just get used to this kind of thing.
Yeah.
This is her day to day.
And then also maybe she there's also a hint of that she finds it interesting, right? I mean, she's a scientist. She probably thought about it and is quite interested in it. We don't really explicitly spell out that she's really into it or completely hates it, but she is sort of just getting used to it, is interested.
There's a hub not far from here.
Yeah,
Let's go there.
it makes sense to be curious.
But yeah, we still have her sort of freak out in the beginning, but then she realizes what's going on, and is sort of slowly processing it.
By the way, where is everybody? Is the office closed? And what is a test subject doing here anyway?
Yeah, we had a lot of this dialogue was actually just in the first scene, but then it was spread out, so it's less dense talk. You can have a lot of talk there and no talk here, but it's so unbalanced, and it's better to have the talking be a bit more spread out through the journey.
Yeah, it feels nicer
really
to
dark. Light switch
be
anywhere?
talked, to have that more conversation vibe rather than to be talked at.
Yeah, rather than just one big monologue.
Yeah.
And then and another thing is also when you have a big monologue, players don't remember everything that was said. So for things like this, it's good to spread it out, because then players actually listen to the characters a bit more. If we buried the whole "where is everyone," in that whole monologue there, players wouldn't even think about it. But then here, the player realizes, oh, she doesn't know what happened, right? The player sort of thinks, oh, if you're in for a shocker, you're in for a story. There was,
Sorry to tell you, but everybody's dead.
Yeah. And then here we added. I thought about what to write for as you walk back, or just in general for how to write Conley, and I thought to really emphasize Conley's human nature and give her a lot of fears. So here she displays her fear of the dark, and stuff like fears is a very human trait. So that further shows that she is a human in a ball with everything but hands. And the whole hands thing was you just went so far with the no hands thing.
We liked it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's like one line that we managed to sneak in there about no hands, only handles. And
Yeah.
It's like, everybody was really into it.
I put it in so late in development as too because I just forgot about adding it into the map. And then when I was working on the mannequin stuff with the achievements, I forgot that I remembered, hey, I didn't actually implement any of this. So I just quickly added it in.
I mean, we don't have to go through there, do we?
I'm glad it made it in.
Yeah,
It was like one of my
me as
little,
well.
favorite sides, and it gave us a lot of laughs in chat when we were doing it. So
Yeah, I
glad.
also liked that line. So yeah, this dialogue actually got cut a bit shorter, and she just
And if you would rather find another way if you're scared of the dark, no shame in that. It's just the absence of light, right? What reason would anyone have to develop a phobia for it?
this
Can't find another way through.
section
I may have
with
an idea.
the
Let me try
being
something.
afraid of the dark, it feels quite long,
That's
but I really
crazy.
like the lines
I
here.
still don't like this plan, but here we go.
yeah, it's a lot of talk, but I've not really seen many players complain about this stuff, which is good. Because we did also shorten it. It was even longer.
Wall. Yeah. You do see them sort of like go backwards and forwards a little bit into the wall. But apart from that, it's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the awkward things, right? Because we could have just let the player walk in, but then people would just skip it all and do sequence breaks really easily, and that's not good. So I just add a little like black wall so you can't go further in. It's a cheat I don't like, but had to be done. And there's a lot of like fun little Easter egg lines that you can find when you walk to some other like these corners,
Only shadows.
where she's comforting herself.
Yeah.
Wandering through the office after working hours with a stranger and nothing more than a flashlight.
Fun enough, this is room I made like 2017 and it's still here. Little corner. No one ever sees. but
Is this
whatever.
the section where there's like a lamp army, or is that later?
The lamp army is before this. This is right here. There is one of the lamp places. And here's another fun. Yeah. This office was decorated by Ace. By Mr. Glaze. Which was in a completely different area, but we just when I made this dark area, I just took the whole thing and put it here. And this area was actually made a long time ago as well by someone else in like 2017. A lot of like mixed together areas. It's really fun. I think it's just fun to take old areas from like the early alpha stages.
I'm sorry for. Oh, I'm so sorry. My bad. I didn't mean to overexpose your eyes.
Oh yeah, the overexposing your eyes.
What a classic.
Yeah, I thought it would be a fun joke to have her turn around and then flash you.
I love
In a
like kind of the
perfectly
cute look.
safe and
at
family-friendly way.
stuff.
You like the cute look? I didn't actually like it
Yeah,
when I was
yeah,
animating it.
Like it's like, oh, sorry.
When I was animating it, I didn't actually like that. but yeah. If players like it, then I like it.
Okay. Wait, what happened here? Look out the window.
Because
I
yeah,
remember you ranting a lot about how difficult the core animations were to do.
yeah, I just want to talk about it. Like animating these characters is so limiting because you can't do a lot of stuff. Yeah. Like a lot of these animations are mixtures of pre-made animes that are like character nods or turns around. Those are like pre-made animations. But then if you just use those, it's gonna look very repetitive and not like you're actually animating, yourself. So a lot of the things where the character like turns the head up and then moves the eye and squints and stuff like that, that is all sort of hand animated, but the hand animation is still very limiting. Like here, that is an existing
Especially
animation.
when the character doesn't have hands. Ha ha ha.
Can
Yeah.
you tell me what year it is? Oh, you don't know either? Guess we're in the same boat then. Let's try to get this door open. Stick me on that plug in the wall. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, people want me to talk about the bug. I don't know what caused the bug. The bug is just that if you put the core in, sometimes they wouldn't be attached to the bone properly. My fix was to just attach them again, and that worked. It's stupid. It's not a proper fix, but I have no idea what went on there.
Got it. Woo!
The way she gets flung out there is so funny. That was completely unintended. I still don't know how it flings her out like this because I just disconnect her. I don't add momentum to the core manually, but then we just recorded a woo line.
It's just my favorite thing. Like it's so funny. When it was being tested, and she got flung truly across the entire room.
It through the door.
Popped out of it. Yeah. Now she just kind of plops out, and you're like, that's fine. That's less dramatic. Originally, it was extremely dramatic.
No, she still gets flung quite a bit.
Woo.
She does get flung quite a bit. I reverted that.
None of this used to be here. How long was I out for? It must have been decades. I don't really know where we're going now. Oh, let's try and find a management rail. Then I can access the whole network.
Yeah, here again, I like me putting things above the player. I really like these springs. So there's all of these test chambers. Also to sort of re-emphasize that you're entering more than aperture more and more as you go. Like all of the previous stuff was at the layer below, and now you're getting up slowly.
Elevator. Sure. What's the worst that could await us up there? Actually, you don't want to know.
Yeah, who knows what's up there? Why would she use the word overexposed? Because I think it's funny. And she's a crazy scientist. Maybe she thinks it's funny. Don't judge.
Ask you something real quick. What portal device model is
Oh yeah, this is where she talks about the portal device. This used to be just a normal portal device, but then we changed it to the red one and completely recontextualizes it.
Doesn't look like any of the ones I've seen before. Looks cool though. Design team did a good job. Engineering too. Very slim fit.
Oh yeah, and we're in the climb.
Look, here's the climb.
So I made a workshop series called The Climb for Portal 2 as a competition entry, and in the end of the second part, which this entry was way too large, and we had like 2 weeks, and I made 2 entire maps for it. It's insanity. And then at the end of the second one, I had a little text there like part 3 coming soon, maybe, and I never made a third part. So here is the third part, guys.
no, man.
Stop asking me. I made a whole game instead. It doesn't continue where the previous part left off, but who needs that?
Climb
Who
2,
needs
episode 1
continuity?
and 2.
Yeah. I think the name still fits though.
Opposing force.
Like I wouldn't have chosen the name if it didn't actually fit in the game, right?
Oh, a rail! We found one! Whoa, feels weird. This will take some getting used to. Thank you, test subject.
Yeah, you really your voice is so over animated in that I had to just over animate the core in the animation as well. With the crazy eye spin. Also, I just realized that we don't see her again until the end of the chapter. But I wanted to talk about the core design. Damn. Where is Monty? You also made it.
The core.
Yeah. Let me just quickly restart this chamber.
I think the best thing about the core though is that because I was bad at baking and
Can I
substance
ask you something
painter,
real quick?
I accidentally
What
added
device model
there
is
ended
that?
up being these gray
Doesn't look like any of the
triangles
ones I've
on the
seen.
model that I couldn't get rid of.
Design team
Blessed
did a
cat
good job.
ears.
And then when Monty went back to redo the materials / model, they just kind of like, oh, those are intentional, we'll keep them.
Yeah.
And people
You-
thought it was cat ears.
these
And
triangles.
all that spirals out to create interesting fan art.
Yeah, these triangles up here and down here were mistakes, and then Monty who remade. So let's actually begin from the beginning. You know, we wanted a new look for the core for Conley, and I was inspired by like prototyping because at that point they were. Huh? Sarah?
Sorry, just animals going on in the background.
Oh, I can't hear them.
Oh, good, good. They were very loud in my ears, so I was like, oh.
Oh, okay.
It's all good.
All good. Yeah, we wanted a new model, and I thought they were working on like these cores at the time. They were like prototyping them, so I wanted to have a look where it looks like a prototyping board sort of thing, like a prototype product, right? So we have like these. It doesn't make sense for the era, but we have like 3D printed looking like plastic shell and like the sort of plexiglass dark stuff here. That was
glass.
tempered glass. That was inspired by the Valve Index. Yeah, and Rory made the first version of this, but it was PBR, and so when I tried to import it into Source, it didn't work too well, or at least not. It didn't look as it did in Blender. And then later, Monty completely like overhauled the mesh and the model. Just did another pass on it. The eye was me again. I did all of the eyes for the cores. But I really like how a lot of players don't even realize that it's a different model, right? Like it looks so in line with the other stuff. It doesn't pop out too much. But when you look at it closely, it's so different. Like you've got a lot more black here. This looks like rubber sort of, and the very very white plastic 3D printed stuff. I think it turned out really nicely.
Like it. Like, it's a really standout design for the Portal like modding series. Just in general, like you've got very like stock standard your personality cores from the main series, and then Conley has these beautiful transparent sides that are just really like they pop. They add a little flair, make it feel very special.
Yeah, I mean,
The
in
funny
the
thing
original.
is, like, all that internal stuff, like, behind it was pretty much already modeled in the original Wheatley core. because like it had to move around and code so much, so it wasn't like, yeah.
True.
Ideas that got removed from Conley, having a sticky note on the side of it, and using electrical tape for the handles.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some ideas that we didn't take. Like I also wanted to have.
Yeah, that's a little like
a
overboard though, kind of.
I wanted to have like an exposed PCB on the shell somewhere, but I feel like that would have been too busy. I really like the design here. It doesn't look too busy, but it still looks distinctly like prototype. Yeah, I think it's very nice. Yeah, I mean Portal 2, they just changed the eye color and that's it. Then other mods like Mel, they added like a paint job around it, but here it's like a completely new take basically. I don't think I've seen a core with a completely original, you know, sort of shell. Let's just speed this up.
The Mel core looks pretty nice, honestly. Like that was a pretty unique.
Yeah, Mel's core is cool, but again, it's just a paint shop basically, right? And now everyone does paint shops. But like a completely new sort of iteration of the core we haven't really seen before in the mod. In Aperture Desk Job, they made like a 70s era core that looks very different.
Yeah, that one looks really cool. I like that one.
This is a gate, so you can't portal through here when you have Conley. It's just a block door. Some nice subtle game design stuff, level design stuff.
I hope I don't intrude if I join you for a bit while I try to get a sense of what happened to me, the facility, and you.
Here again, we've got, you know, I could have just had this go right into the test chamber, but rather you make the players snake around this whole thing. They can get a good look at everything, and while doing so, we can also have some nice, cool looking scenes like this here. Oh yeah, and it also makes sense because yeah, we just took a detour. Now we got back to the test chamber, so this is where you would actually come through if you were on the testing track. But because we took a detour, now we have to get back on track, like this. And Conley actually loses herself.
Again, I'm sorry for my erratic introduction. I'm Amelia Conley, and I work in Aperture's research group for artificial intelligence. Well, I did. Until now. See, my main contributions were in the field of brain scanning, and it seems like one of my old scans just got loaded into this robot. I knew the risks of this happening.
I've had a lot of people like
She still talks.
really Sorry, still talking.
I paused the game now.
Oh, it's fine. I'm watching the YouTube stream, so like my visual is a little behind yours. Are you streaming on the Discord?
I could also stream on Discord. I should do that, yeah.
Well, yeah, just so I know where we're up to.
Yeah. I was like, talking over it. I just finished the dialogue in game.
Backup removal routines so we wouldn't accidentally clone our minds. But here we are.
Okay, she's done talking.
Alright, I will watch on Discord instead. Yeah. It's so fun to have that inside look into what it is to be an Aperture employee. And I've had a lot of people just be like, oh, it was so cool to like have your companion character actually be someone who was like on the ground, because the only other on the ground body we have is like the Rat Man. And all we get of him is little drawings on a wall, which are very cool. But it's nice to have someone who's like sort of more of a first-hand experience of Aperture.
Yeah, that's also something I found really interesting about writing her, because I didn't even lean too much into that direction at first. When I first wrote the character, before we had you on the team, I sort of just wrote like that whole thing as like a backstory, right? Then I treated her like another core that helps you to destroy the facility or whatever, or to not destroy the facility. And then I realized that there's so much interesting stuff in there, which helped because I was really struggling to write this sort of small talk where you're just solving test chambers and the character just talks. Like you just have to come up with stuff. In Portal 2, you can see that they just have, joke after joke of GLaDOS calling you fat, and then she calls you adopted and whatever. That is all pretty much like the same. Like that is pretty much like a 2-minute scene spread out like across a chapter, because in a context like this, you just solve chambers, and they have a little nugget of story. So I could nicely, but with that you don't only want one sort of topic. You want you want multiple things going on at the same time that you can switch between to make it more interesting of what's about to come next. So we've got the player learning about Conley, learning about what it is like to be an Aperture employee. We've got Conley discovering what happened to everyone in facility, what happened with GLaDOS, her project, and all of that. We have her relearning Aperture Portal lore. I just something fell on the floor. There it is. Okay. And then later you also have the Spire, where she learns about the Spire in the next map. And it was important to pace it all properly, which was quite difficult, but I think it turned out pretty okay, pretty good. Where here we just focus on Conley first. In the next map, she sees the Spire, because before, again, you would just walk through all of the BTS stuff before you enter any test chambers. So you would just see the lobby, then you would activate Conley, or no, actually you would see the Spire, then you would activate Conley, and then I thought, well, how does Conley learn about the Spire now? So I moved it all around, and that took so much work, like changing the order of things. I'm sorry, Rory, but you have some background noises that are quite strange. Like it just sounds like I don't know what it is, frankly.
Sorry, I'm eating chips.
That might be it.
I will stop eating chips.
You can keep eating chips, just mute yourself, maybe. That's fine. So yeah, it was switch around, and when you switch stuff around like this, it's a lot of work, because you have to reconnect areas that have different exits and entrances. So, but yeah, the current iteration we have of the map sequence, I'm really happy with in Act 3. Oh yeah, so this puzzle, this was actually the first puzzle in the wooden style. We call it the lumber style, which is why the map is called Lumber. Nice tarps. Why is Monty not here? No, we can't talk about the tarps. Okay.
The real hero of Portal Revolution is the tarps.
The tarps and the cones. All we
cones
need.
first, tarps second, that PowerPoint presentation third.
Yeah. I actually made it in Blender, not even PowerPoint. Yeah, one of the I really like the style. It's so refreshing, and yeah, when we first made the act, we would just kind of switch between these styles at random. Like you would have fully built modern Aperture-looking chambers, and then you would have this, and it didn't make any sense. So I, when shuffling all the chambers around, I also thought, let's put this way earlier. This would actually be very late in the act. So yeah, now you actually have this nice visual progression towards more modern looking stuff. You could Conley again.
Really struggling to hold back the panic now? I read the records of what happened while I was out. Everyone is dead. All of them! And it's my fault! See, I worked on her. I created the genetic life form and disk operating system just like Cave wanted. Well, my human self did. I have no memory of this, but the records are clear. Carolyn never consented to be scanned in, but somehow they must have found a way around that. I need to process this for a bit and figure out what to do now. See you in a bit.
Expanding some Portal 2 lore. Yeah.
X-Files music plays.
Yeah, the a lot of revelations, you know, like the idea that Conley worked on GLaDOS, which makes sense, right? Because she worked on the brain scanning stuff, and also that Carolyn didn't consent to be scanned in because that's sort of ambiguous in Portal 2, and I think it's still left ambiguous because, again, the current Conley that we know didn't see everything. Like, you would basically have two versions of the same character. One, the human, that just walked right out of the scanner and just did her walked about her life and then died at some point. And then you have the copy AI that just gets woken up, has no memory of all of this. So maybe later Caroline did rethink it or whatever, right? Like there's things that happened in between that she doesn't know about. I think that is so interesting. I got later reminded that is exact story point in Soma. I didn't play that game at the time. I didn't know about that. I came up with that character, like with the idea of having a backup brain scan be woken up years after. I came up with that for when I was thinking of ideas for another game. Like I just had this like other game idea, which was very story. It was basically like a game story idea. And then I thought, you know what? Why don't I just put this character idea into Portal Revolution? Because I was looking for a second character anyway, and that just fits so nicely. Yeah, in the gameplay demo, like previously, you would actually just walk through here, and that would be the exit. But then, because the dialogue is so long, we extended the whole thing. So now, what used to be just an Easter egg section up here, like you would be able to portal up here and enter the observation room, but it was just an Easter egg at the time, because there is there's a like a popsicle stick replica that Rory made of the test chamber.
Popsicle stick replica.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's.
It
I
really-
don't know if that would actually made it into the mod or not. 'Cause
Yeah.
It was kind of in a state.
Yeah, I think we wanted
Yep,
to overhaul
there it
this a
is.
bit, but it's still, yeah. It's still
And
here.
it sure is there.
Still there. But yeah, then we changed that, and now, because we actually always had this catwalk up here, but it would just be decoration. So then, when I thought, you know, let's just extend because Conley was talking so much, I extended the exit. So then I thought, let's have the player be able to walk on the catwalks, and that's just again another one of those things. You revisit the same area that you have been before, and now you see it from up here. And you can actually jump down and solve the chamber again.
Start the level.
I mean, I made it so even the music starts back up, which I think is so funny. It like that sort of shows the player that is an intentional mechanic, and just also an achievement associated to it. So yeah. I wonder who got scammed to become the Space Core. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a corrupted file. Who knows? There are corrupted
That's
cores
actually
after
kind
all.
of a horrifying. That's a pretty horrifying idea.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the cores are like scanned in. So the corrupted cores are. Yeah.
yep. But
They
they're
just picked the
sentient.
zaniest. Maybe what they did is they didn't scan in a whole mind. They just scanned in someone's hyperfixation.
Yeah. Maybe they scanned in just half the brain, and that was all that got in.
Yeah, they were just like, this guy's got ADHD. Let's see what happens when we log him
Only
in."
take ADHD.
Only take.
Or maybe they have like an editor so they can mix multiple things together. I mean, they did. Conley later does talk about be glad you didn't volunteer for our early mind mapping tests, right? Those were not good times to be a test subject, she says. I would have loved to touch even more onto the that AI body horror sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think that
Like, they very well have
Portal's
just
style of
coded it.
humor fits best when you don't really think about the implications of most of this stuff happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also the thing, right? There's things in. I feel like Portal Revolution doesn't often spell out everything to you, so there's a lot of stuff that you can sort of discover if you just think about it a bit more. Even the whole thing of, none of the characters are there's not a clear hero and an antagonist, right? The morals are kind of just gray. Like both of, I mean, I can talk about this later, but yeah, like things like that is the more you think about some of the stuff, the more there is to discover. And I try to also do that in Revolution, rather than expelling out absolutely every little detail. It's a cool area, serves absolutely no purpose other than, again, you can see where you will go, and later you will see where you've been. But gameplay-wise, it's... but you need areas like this. Even if they serve no gameplay purpose, like there's no grand puzzle in here. It's just a little briefing room, and it shows the environment. It is just world building. And I love the sign in Portal 2, so I put it some places as well. We actually had a tide line like up here. It would show like that this has been flooded before, and then in here, this would be like not underwater, but it just looked bad, so it was removed. Oh, actually, see Connolly here again. I forgot about that. But you don't get a good glimpse at her.
Not been long. Just wanted to be polite. Just remembered that I never asked what you're doing here. Let's just try to get out of here. This isn't a good place to be around anymore.
Yeah.
I really like that line of just like that. Hello.
Yeah, she processed everything in 2 seconds, and now she's cheery
It's
again.
more like that's the voice of someone who's really trying not to think about it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think you did a really good job at playing her. This pipe is so awkward, but I love it because of that. Like, it just blocks your paint so that is stupidest way. But I thought it was kind of funny. Oh yeah, here we're actually using the power mechanic again. Oh god, this map is a nightmare with the level logic, because she moves around and talks, and there's a light to turn on and off and everything. It's yeah, it's a thing.
Zakia, let me light this up for you.
I think I got the idea to have her, like, I think the whole idea to have the power be turned on and off was based on this shot right here, because I don't know if I did it just to experiment, but somehow I turned on her flashlight, looked out here, and it did, like, the power was still on here, and it just looked so cool, and from that this whole idea of the puzzle here came from. Yeah, it's weird sometimes what inspires like other things. Someone asks how you got to be a voice actor for the mod, Sarah.
For the mod for here.
Yeah.
Stefan, you should probably take this one, because I know how I kind of see it. And that it was just it was very lucky timing, I think, wise.
I mean, tell it from your experience first.
Well, like the way it happened for me was I was very calmly going about my day. I had uploaded my first sort of voice demo. Like, in the world of voice acting, you do like 5 or 6 different voices. You upload them, and hopefully someone finds it and goes, "Yeah, I like these 5 or 6 different voices," and sends you a message. truly less than 24 hours after I had submitted that demo, Stefan got in contact with me and was like, hey, would you like to do this thing? And I was like, what? I wasn't expecting it to be that fast because I truly just done it the day before.
Yeah, I didn't even know that you put it up so like that was so fresh. I mean, we had a previous voice actress. Like, we auditioned for quite a long time, and I will not really go into detail about her, but yeah, she dropped the project, and in general, I was always sort of feeling a bit, iffy with the choice, because I just didn't feel the character really. I had no idea what the character was, and I think we could have worked out something, but then she just dropped the project, and I was looking for someone new, and that was like, I think, 7 months before we were meant to release. So I went back to the site where we casted from, castingcallclub.com, and this time I started, because I don't know if they didn't have the feature or whatever, but previously I just put up my project, and then I waited for auditions to come in, right? But this time I was looking myself, and then I just looked through a bunch of stuff, and then I found your profile, and I was immediately like, this is perfect, this is the character. That was just such a perfect find, and I just hoped that you would respond and be on board for all of this. Because you just sounded way too professional to work on a free mod on a casting call club thing. So I was just like, oh god, I don't know if this is gonna happen. Maybe this is really expensive. She doesn't understand what a portal is or what a free mod is or any of that. But it just worked out so well. It was so fun.
Yeah, and I had like an absolute ball doing this. This is like the coolest thing ever. To forever be like, yes, well, you may have heard me in, be like, ha ha ha.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so fun. I mean, even your Discord status at the time, I don't know, I think you still may even have it, of just shoot me a PM and let's get creative.
Yeah.
Even just saying that, it just sort of had the whole vibe of just doing things for fun, and not like making a big commercial thing here, and that was also exactly the vibe that we were going for while making the mod, right?
Yeah, and like, I do have a day job that I am in no position to quit. Like, if I could do voice all the time, I would. It would be great. But we're not like angling for it. Currently, we are not currently angling for a career change, because I can't do that. And so all of the projects I pick up are ones that I am genuinely interested in, and I think will be a genuine good time and a good waste of my time, or like, not a good waste of my time, a good way to spend my time. And yeah, this was definitely a good way to spend my time.
Oh, it's just so fun. Yeah, this was really... Yeah, I mean, when you got on the project and we first imported your voices, I mean, the set that during development so many times is when you first get the music into the levels. Like, when you just make a level, it feels so dead. When you get music into the level, it feels like it's slowly becoming something. When you put the voices in the level, then that's when it becomes alive. Because without the characters, you would just be walking through this dead facility, which is an interesting vibe on its own, but that's not what we're trying to do. And that was just so fun. I'm so glad that we were able to work with you on this project.
So am I.
Well, let's continue playing this thing.
Woo! Turn the power back on.
Whoop. These earthquakes aren't normal here. What is that?
Also, how weird is it to hear your voice in the game like that?
It is a little weird. It's a little weird because I think we've talked about this before, that like all of these lines sort of live rent-free in my brain, in that I can probably just parrot them back in exactly the same tone, in exactly the same way. But like in the same breath, it's just different enough from my voice. Maybe that makes it worse. Maybe it makes it worse that it's like it's my voice, but it's slightly different. That I hear it and go, that's me, but also maybe it's not me. So it is both weird and not weird.
Yeah, I mean later we even have a joke about Conley, reacting to her old voice lines.
Yeah.
Which was I really liked that joke, because I mean I've never voice acted in anything like a game, but when you're making YouTube videos or like streaming stuff, and then you hear it back, it just sounds so weird, and that's the same that you've obviously went through, but you've just you end up voice acting, so I just I feel like I could sort of empathize a little bit with that, like with feeling uneasy about your voice at first. That's why I thought that joke would be fun. Oh yeah, let's turn on the power, just a little power puzzle.
Be there in a moment.
Yeah, this area is I removed the glass, right? This area is actually
Wow, this hasn't changed a bit.
quite old, because this was the idea that they at Aperture.
Yes, the boring presentation room. For some reason, the presentation rooms were assigned special roles. This is
It's the line.
one
They
where
said the
only
thing.
really uninteresting topics
They
get
said the
presented.
thing.
I worked next to the presentation room of danger. Well, that's its nickname. What they pitched there is shocking at first, but it didn't take me long to get numb to it.
I love how once they added animation, the flashlight would just constantly shift around. That's so fun. But yeah, the idea was that Aperture would have sort of, early 80s, they would have this almost game jam thing where they have like small teams all in a little booth, and then they were meant to come up with new products. And that is where all of the modern Aperture tech got, came from, like the light bridge and the new portal gun design and the lasers and all of the stuff that we don't see in old Aperture. And then also, some things maybe were cut, like the pneumatic diversity vent, or things that were actually cut in the game are now cut in the lore, because Aperture didn't think it was a good idea or something. Whatever.
Yeah, they lost too many slight women to the 60 kilogram limit.
Yeah. So this office was designed like 2018 or something, and repurposed again here, and now we walk through here with Conley, who is Aperture employee, so it's really fun to have her talk about her experiences. And the mannequins. Yeah, I don't think this shot worked out as well. Yeah, I think it didn't work out as well as I wanted, but I framed the whole thing that you walk up and you just see like the human silhouettes.
Horrible.
Yeah, but then the head is way too high, it didn't work out like that. I think it worked better at some point, but I moved stuff, whatever. Yeah.
Mannequins? Interesting. You reckon I could find a humanoid android body somewhere around here? Forgot what it feels like to have hands.
This is one of my favorite animations, I think, because she like looks at her hands, even though she doesn't have hands, right? So conveying that is with just an eye. It's really interesting. And then also when she says humanoid, she like nods at you for a second. Little things like that just make the animation feel like, special instead of just idle animations on repeat. Oh yeah, also when you stand here. Yeah. When you stand her, she hums. And that song,
Song.
that's
Mannequin.
that song is Showroom Dummies from Kraftwerk. Which is a really old song. But actually, I think when was that album? Is Kraftwerk?
I think we found out that it was it was an 80s thing.
Yeah, but I forget
They were,
which
like,
what year
constantly
exactly.
familiar.
It's okay. Yeah, it's 1976. So even in universe, it makes total sense. Yeah, I just thought that was funny because I liked that band. So yeah, and then here we have the famous.
No hands, only handles.
Sarah's favorite line. Yeah, the whole hands thing. I just like going with a joke and then just repeating it over and over again in different contexts. Like I studied a lot of like stand-up comedy and stuff like that to know what how do you write comedy that spans over multiple hours of gameplay. And one of the things I noticed, one of my favorite Austrian comedians, is that he would introduce something at first that wasn't really funny. Maybe it was a little bit funny, right? But it wasn't like one of those jokes that makes the whole theater just cry out of genuine laughter. But then later, it's combined with something else and recontextualizes. So now the joke from the very beginning is used in the very end, combined with something that was funny before as well, and that just makes the whole thing so much funnier. So here, like the whole hands thing is then later combined with the button pushing thing from the very beginning in the finale. Yeah, things like that, just building jokes top of each other over the whole area instead of just throwing them away. I think works much better. I don't know why this desk doesn't get lit. This desk is the normal Portal 2 prop in Portal 2, and it just doesn't get lit by any flashlights. The normals are right, the material is correct, everything is right. It just doesn't get lit. I have no idea why. But this is one of those like prototyping booths where this is like the this is for the light bridges. You can't really see the whole thing, but if you turn on full bright, maybe you can. No, you can't. Okay. Yeah, whatever.
Light, finally. Can't stop thinking about the android body. I wonder if they finished developing those.
Yeah, and then again, another one of those like human things. Like she, from the beginning, she talks about the hands, the poster. Okay, Spanner, talk about the poster. Yeah, this poster. No, yeah, this is a. This was made by the Portal 2 Desolation team. As a little Easter egg. Don't know what any of it means. Except for the Artesian Shell stuff, but yeah, this is gonna be an area in the game probably where you get the Artesian Shell.
Sickness.
Yeah, I'm guessing that this is where you'll have the Artesian Shell. I think I asked if they wanted another Easter egg, because we had another Easter egg area open that we didn't use, but we never did anything else. But I think it's so cool that we have this little thing here. Oh yeah, this is another one of those, you know. Here, you're now in this area up above, and you can see where you've been here, and you can see the spire, but I try to like dirty up the windows and like add these shutters so you don't I mean, you can still see things, right? But it's like a bit obscured. So maybe it isn't your first instinct to look out here.
There's a comment about thinking Conley would become like Atlas at the end of the game. Get her like an Atlas or
Yeah, we thought about that, but just didn't really have time to make such a incredibly complex model and even more complex animations. Like if you have all the budget and time in the world, you can do stuff like that, but that is really a lot of work for a small team like us. Which is
Definitely. I like the implication that she's kind of like she is the one who sort of saves you at the end.
Yeah.
It's said that she does, but like there's like a minor implied like, what did she find up there to save you with?
Yeah, exactly. That was sort of my idea that on the moon she would find those exoskeletons that she could use to save the player, but we just didn't really have time or money or anything to make that model and animation. That is such a so much work, such a complex animation. If we're taking another year, that would be something we would have probably done, but now it's just sort of implied. Yeah, those are the limitations you have as a small mod team. You can't do everything, so you have to think about what's most important. In the Spire, yes, we have a staircase so players look up. We have flashing lights and falling debris so players look up. We have a core saying things so the players look up. Everything so players look up. We have the composition of the rock wall here so players look up. I have to use every trick in the book to make the player look up, please.
Did you see that? Better move upwards before that happens again.
I forgot how good that animation was. Yeah, another thing was that previously this railing was all open up to here. So a lot of players, they would just walk down, see where they could go, and then immediately look right, and not even think about any of this. There's so many things like that, like how to direct the player's attention, that you can only find in playtesting, because I would have never thought that someone would just walk past. But yeah, the thing was, they just didn't have a railing here, so they would just focus too much on where they can go. But yeah, I think actually that this section of the map is older than the idea of the Spire itself. Did you say something, Sarah?
Oh. No. I was just saying they'd just wander off. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, so this was made when I was really into these like underground lakes. I had this idea that there would be this like I was just looking at a lot of Portal 2 concept art. That there would be this like tower, and there would be this like boat dock, and then you would have. I mean, I knew that I could never like have a boat that you would ride to go in there. That just was a bit weird, but that was sort of the composition of the area that I had. To have this like boat dock here and another boat dock there, with these lights. We actually removed a few of those lights because they were too attention grabbing. So yeah, a lot of these like weird little details, like these pipes look like bumpers, like rubber bumpers for the boats. They aren't rubber bumpers, but that was sort of the idea. I always like having like take one idea from real life and then recontextualizing it in Aperture that just is completely different, but the visual thing is still there. And there's even still like a little Borealis thing here. So yeah. And then yeah, so this was actually just a random silo that you would like crawl up in. And then later when I got the idea for the Spire, I actually got it from like underneath here. And then I added like the second shell around it, and had the player actually traverse through it. And I think it turned out so nice how now you can see the most bottom layers of the facility, and you actually get to enter it again. But you see at the bottom there's just nothing in there. And again, we have the whole thing that you can see where you've been. We even got these little like buoys that have a light on them, inspired by real life buoys. Even though they are actually just concrete columns, but whatever. I like the visual sort of style of that. Yeah, and you can see this and everything, and you can see where you. I think it's cool to have shared spaces like this, but they're a pain to make. You actually kind of save some time because you don't have to, you can, like, you don't have to make an you don't have to make a new cave for everything, but you have to make everything work in the same space. There's a lot of like logic hell and stuff like, and things like that. It's just very dense. Yeah. Also, one of my favorite areas, just the whole verticality of it. Again, I like climbing things and playing a lot with verticality like this. And we've got the tubes that go all the way up here into the test chambers. This area went through so many changes. This is a door that was animated by someone on the Abyss Portal to Abyss team.
Oh no. I believe this might be an old, dangerous teleportation experiment. Here we've got ourselves the Aperture Science Non-Local Matter Displacement Device. Quite a mouthful, I know. Our team affectionately dubbed it the Spire. Adds a bit of pizzazz to it, right?
It was developed as a successor to the Borealis experiments from the 70s, but I've never seen it with my own eyes.
Well, I've still not seen it with my eyes, unless digital cameras count.
Yeah. Sarah, wasn't it your idea to do the like American Texan voice or whatever it is?
I was like, let's do a really bad impression of J.K. Simmons.
I think that was your idea.
Yeah. Because I was like, look, he's got to be a bit of a joke in office as well as like out of office,
Yeah.
Like they've got to be taking the mickey out of this man at every chance they get.
Especially she being Australian in lore as well,
Yeah.
Like making fun of the accent and stuff.
Yeah, that's a very Australian thing to do. But yeah, it feels really fun to have like an employee who's just like, oh, my boss is a bit of a dum-dum, but we make it better by making fun of him.
That's sort of a favorite little thing is...
like a little office gag that they would do.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite little touches that just adds so much humanity to her.
Yeah, it was probably one of my favorite lines to record. Yeah, getting to do just a silly voice, because it did feel like getting to do like a silly voice of your boss, because Cave is such like an iconic character, and getting to mock him just a little bit, in like having the opportunity to be in world and mock a very mockable character was very fun.
Yeah, the dialogue changed so much here, but the final thing that we have, I think, worked really well. Gameplay wise, this is interesting. Like I like having things like this where you like have a little mini challenge. You enter this room and it's like you have to climb up up the spire. So we just have all of these little like very conveniently placed portal surfaces, as you do. But then again, things like here, the paint tube you see at the bottom goes all the way up here, and later it's actually gameplay thing. Like, I didn't think about this like wall bouncing here from the start. I added a paint pipe and then later thought, you know what, maybe we could use that. A lot of the time gameplay just comes from messing around with decorations as well. And yeah, the whole thing about she still hasn't seen it with her own eyes.
Yeah.
She still hasn't seen it with her own eyes, just further going back, circling through multiple discussion points, learning a bit more about, now she's discovered the Spire, and now we're learning more about her coming to grips with what happened to her. Just little hints of that. Did I just do the same thing twice? I did the classic mistake. It is funny how much trouble some players have with this fling, because they just don't really.
That was close.
After the music cuts out, I forgot I did that.
Let's find a way up to the surface.
What the heck?
That's where we'll find the control.
This little thing, I love how much players sometimes have trouble with this, because they just don't expect you to have just a small little portal puzzle like this. But it's also really fun things, like just now you've climbed it and now you get to fling all the way down again. We could have also just added a second surface like there or whatever, right? But that I think is so much more fun. Now you've climbed it, now you can use it to gain momentum. The plastic wall, yeah, that is a thing that I added for a map that comes up, but we've been using it everywhere because it's so cool. This was decorated by Ace. Caution, no floor. I like little jokes like this. Probably less than 1% of players will ever notice this, but I think the idea is funny that they don't even have they don't only have wet floor signs, they also have no floor signs. And in the finale, in the finale, you also have turret signs, caution turrets. Yeah.
I didn't realize the cone was different.
Not even the devs know that they're different. Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't have done this, but like this was way too close to our expected release, and I decorated this like little office area, and then I just did some floor stuff, and I thought let's add the wet floor sign, and then I thought it doesn't make sense. Then I came up with a joke. I thought, is it worth the effort?
You said yes, absolutely.
Yes. Exactly.
Can the cone pass through the Emancipation Grove?
Nah, it gets dissolved.
Okay.
It's so
Caution,
violent.
no
Why'd you do
floor.
Oh, hi, Jared. How are
Yo.
you doing?
that? I'm doing alright. Am I too late?
I mean, we're 3 hours in, 2.5 hours into the stream, but we are not even done with the act yet, so no.
Yeah, can you do the... Never mind. People find the secret here?
Yes, the secret here. We wanted to have rooms for every team member, and then none of the team members built their rooms, except for me, so now we only have my room. Yeah, so this is my actual room that I'm sitting in right now. Obviously, I had to rebuild it with existing props and stuff. But yeah, I have a third monitor now that isn't here yet.
Oh my goodness.
But I have a red chair. It looks different to this one. The keyboard is not the same because I have a better keyboard than this. I have a much better keyboard.
You got the Aperture keyboard.
I have the original Portal 1 Aperture keyboard, yeah. I thought about remaking that in like HD because the original Portal 1 does look quite bad. And the one they remade for the RTX stuff is just wrong. They colored the wrong keys. But yeah, I don't have a phone. I have a VR headset here, and I don't have a lamp here. I have my microphone here, but it looks sort of the same. It looks like an arm, I do have a mug. It is also orange, different shade of orange, and there are scissors and whiteboard markers in it. So that's at least correct. I don't have a Game Design 101 book here. Right now I do have it isn't game design, it's how to be, how to do a company and stuff like that. Don't have an extinguisher here, but whatever. These are all here. This box is a Vsauce Curiosity box in my room, and we do have printer paper over here, so yeah, this is alright. And this whiteboard I just drew this for the game. This wasn't an actual whiteboard because I like whiteboards, but you can't use them to organize your game when nobody lives in your country. But we didn't have a meeting this Sunday. That was true because it was Christmas. So
It is very accurate though to the actual like checklist for.
oh yeah, it was an
Like, that
actual
is
checklist. I looked at our to-do stuff and I put it down. We don't have
It
a
is
smoke
kinda
alarm
funny.
here, but we do have a ventilation shaft up here, and this light is exactly the same. Like I copied. Like, we actually have lights that look sort of like this. They don't have these little blinds, but whatever. And they point in the perfect directions. I copied them one to one. Yeah, this is good. Put way too much effort into this. And then obviously, as you must have, if you do a portal mod, you must have a Stanley Parable thing, because all of the assets are already here. So, because Stanley Parable just stole Portal 2's assets, with permission, of course. But yeah. Solvay was finished way too late.
This will sound stupid, so just bear with me. Garbage disposal tubes generate much more force than the ones in test chambers. Should be able to carry you. If you jump into this tube, I will route you through to the upper layers of the facility.
Yeah, the only reason why we even have this whole area was because previously you would just like you would walk through here, and that's when that's how you would get to the vac tubes. But then we added the dialogue, and I wanted players to actually listen to the dialogue before they press a button and finish the whole thing. So I changed this all and added this like glass, so before you could get to it, you would see the tube and hear Connolly talk after we recorded the video. And then this is all rerouted. So then I just needed a connecting path and thought it would be nice to just add a little office. Yeah, and here you can again look down at where you've been. That's really cool. Oh yeah, and yeah, the whole idea that this is a garbage disposal tube, just like a little cop out for why this one suddenly carries you, because this whole thing was designed before that dialogue was written. I didn't want to change the map, so we just said, hey, these have more force. And the fun thing is that this then transitions into the next map in a really fun way that I'll talk about in a second. Another cool Blender physics sim. Oh yeah, I need this on.
Maybe hold your breath.
And this little area that Ace built is inspired by the early VacTube videos that Valve released. It isn't one-to-one. It isn't a one-to-one recreation, but I just like the whole, especially in the last room, you just have so many of those pipes just awkwardly making their way through the test chamber. I thought that was nice. So doing this right, we sort of try to have the same vibe. And this whole area was built by Ace. Pretty quickly actually. Like Ace didn't want to build this. And then I said, fine. Like I mean, it just took a while. And then I said, fine, I'll do it. And then the pride came in, right? No, I'll do it. And then it was done in less than a day. Lead developers, listen to me, this is how you do it.
Damn it, that's barely halfway. Well, looks like we have to go the long way. Sorry. I'm going to research the Spire thing while you scan the chambers.
Yeah, this is, I really love this sort of almost coincidence, because previously you would enter the chamber through here. I like the composition here as well. Like this is what this entrance was built for, right? And then later, when we moved the test chambers around, now we would suddenly exit, like in the previous. Yeah, we had the whole like big reshuffle, and then the map previous to this was the Spire thing, where you would enter a vac tube. That vac tube would actually previously lead to the garbage pit where you find Conley. Like one of those tubes you would come out of. Which I quite liked, right? Because it actually showed you that you would end up where the garbage ends up, and then you would find Conley there. But that was changed, and then we thought, you know what? Let's have you come out of here, because previously in this chamber, this tube would actually suck in. So you would suck in the cube from there, and then I thought, let's have it push out, which kind of shows you that, you know, they don't only suck, they also push. And then we can introduce that whole thing by pushing the player through it. How fun is that? Like, that turned out so... That's such a... I think that's really fun how that came to be, because it was completely unplanned, but then it just all arranged itself so nicely. And then Conley talks about basic things. Small talk again.
Just a little chitter chatter.
Yeah, it is a really cool area visually though. This composition has become, like, this area has become quite iconic. Somebody even remade it in Minecraft long before we released the game, which
Oh wow!
I thought was cool. Yeah, I think we have that pinned in some channel on Discord. Because
Awesome.
I'm just also impressed how exact that replica was. Like, they copied all of the little boxes and all of these like weird detail bits and everything. They just copied pretty much one to one. I was really impressed by that. So yeah, this is a simple puzzle you just push off the box. I thought about adding another puzzle, but we just didn't have time for this. But yeah, it was better to focus on Act 4.
Documents for the Spire, which is 20 megabytes large. How did they figure out how to fit all that on a single drive?
People like this joke, apparently. People seem to like it. Yeah, when I wrote it, I wasn't sure if it's like too... Hey, look, this character is from olden times. But I also love the implication that... Yeah, I also love that it might imply that the human mind takes up less than 20 megabytes.
That is kind of funny.
They have some incredible compression algorithm, I guess.
It's Aperture. They like just really went hard in on compression.
Yeah. Yeah.
I read up on the Spire. One thing that puzzled
I keep thinking that this leads into VacTube flings, because that's what it would lead to for a long time, but it's changed and now it is like still half of the chapter in here.
How did it get activated? It's been dormant for decades and suddenly it just kicks itself into action? Whoever it was must have really upset it.
This area, I mean, I keep saying this over and over again, but this is also one of my favorite areas. This whole thing, I mean, was just built for that gameplay video. Like, those gameplay videos really helped to push me to finish an area to be showcase ready, which is so nice because it's an amount of progress that it needs to look good on camera, which means you can look wherever you want. Right? I mean, I still try to decorate whatever else, but you don't need to foolproof everything because you have control over it. But still, the puzzle needs to be, functional and all of that. So it doesn't need to be done in all ways. It just needs to be done like complete enough to be shown on camera. And yeah, I did it with a lot of test chambers, and this one especially. And I really like the elevator ride of this. I mean, this is, sometimes you add like a thing in the chamber and it's like a second thought, but this whole area was basically built for this first ride down, for this first lift. So all of the like decoration you see up here was specifically built for this. So there's a lot of foreground, midground, and background elements. So you've got a lot of parallax as you ride the lift down. This makes a oop sound effect very interesting. Very interesting.
Going back to that like little moment, that voice line, where Conley's just like, "Whoever's activated the spire, like, what an idiot!"
Yeah.
And just having that, like, imagining the player's face, because the player's not talking this whole time. Just imagining them being just like, "Ugh," like, wasn't me.
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of similar to how in Portal 2, Wheatley doesn't recognize the player as the one who killed GLaDOS.
Yeah.
Right. I like those moments where the player actually gets to rethink their actions and gets to remember what happened before, because often when you play a game, you know, you're so focused on what's ahead of you that you forget how much you've actually already done. Yeah.
100%.
Of course,
In the
this
world
is
of-
the literally 1984.
This is the literally 1984 chamber. This is literally in 1984. It is. I actually did this complete accident. I mean, accident. We go through the 80s, so at some point you're gonna be 1984. But I didn't realize all of the 1984 jokes before I built this until someone on the team pointed it out. So yeah, and then here again, you know, you can see where you're gonna go, and because you actually, if this elevator shaft was like here and the walk was just straight, players would just look forward and don't turn around, and you know, not notice any of the things that I've built here. But with this little bend, players look this direction and see all of the stuff that's built over here. Little things like this that don't take any effort in the editor can just completely, you know, change how players perceive the space. Yeah, Ace later added all of the little things here that is sort of like a flooded environment. I thought that was a cool idea that Ace came up with. That was not my idea. I think this isn't even in the gameplay video. Yeah, I called this interesting. Did it hit a trigger or something? Damn it. Yeah, I called this like vacuum basketball or something. You just have a tube that perpetually throws balls into itself.
I'm back.
You're back. Yeah, I should just toggle. This is probably the stupid V-physics stuff where it doesn't actually hit a trigger, but somehow it still gets triggered. Whatever.
It's orange.
But yeah, that was the idea here, and at first this second chamber didn't even exist at all. It was just this, and then you would like exit, and then I thought, you know what, it's such wasted space and time. It is a waste of my time and a waste of space to just have this area be only used once. So then I thought it would be nice to have a second chamber that's underneath. So now you have the next test here, which sort of re-emphasizes again that these chambers are built not in the most, you know, in the best ways. They just had to use existing spaces and adapt them.
Approved.
Yeah, you have to crawl through vents. And now the paint emitters turn on, and now this tube, which was previously just used for balls, actually as safety cubes, is now used for paint. Yay! I always love that stuff when an element is used in more than one way. And yeah, this is the flowing paint, which is not possible in Portal 2 like this, because yeah, what I did is I created an entity that sort of spawns. Actually, let me show. End text. No, yeah, end bbox. Trigger. Tractor beam. Yeah. This entity, it spawns little invisible tractor beams in a path, because at first I tried to program my own trigger that sort of directs paints wherever it has to go. And then I realized that the tractor beams already have all of the code for that. Like there's so much special code just for the paint particles, because the paint particles aren't entities, like aren't normal physics entities. They're sort of special weird things. So there has to be special code to handle them. So yeah, I updated the tractor beams so I can spawn them to be invisible and not having sound and all of that. And this turned out so nicely. At first I just parented like paint bombs, which are proper entities, to path tracks, which also worked, but this is so much cooler. I will reuse the tractor beam as well to transport that gel. Wanna talk about the music, Jared? Anything to say?
I made it sound like you're like hitting pipes together, because I saw some pipes.
What? You saw some pipes?
I was like, oh, what if the music sounded like pipes being like smacked together?
So you went through your day, you walked somewhere, and you saw some pipes on the floor.
No, I saw them in this chamber.
You saw pipes in here, and I thought, okay, I see. I don't know why I think that's so funny.
And we came back like 2 months later, and it's like, can you make a fast one? Because there's gel here. I was like, okay. And then made the pipes like hit each other faster.
It's the music lore.
The complexity of music composition, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
There are layers.
I chose to sort of use, like I tried to use the yellow like warm colors to direct the player to where they have to go. Like here, everything is mainly dark. I mean, there's also yellow in other places, right? I mean, here it actually shows an Easter egg. Hey, look at it. This is a reference to another mod that was called Portal Revolution. The team from that came to us before release and said, hey, we also worked on a mod. It's so cool that a mod with that name gets released soon. And then they showed us some of the concept art, and this was one thing that they had, and we put it in as a little...
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Sneak.
But here it's like the arrow and the garage ground marking, which is what this is called. So it like frames this very yellow, and then there's also the red markings here to call attention to itself. And then here, in the distance, all of this large staircases with yellow background, and also it just stands out. These things, they sound like, I'm just pretentious saying, oh yes, I did the colors to suddenly trick your brain, but it actually works that way. This actually works. Like if everything was just dark, gray, you wouldn't immediately notice all of the things that you're meant to notice. Mm-hmm.
Just add a yellow paint splatter.
Yes. Yellow paint splatter.
Game design.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that has become sort of a bit controversial, because players feel like they're being handheld a bit too much. But I mean, this is a test chamber, right? So you would have, you could imagine an employee drawing this on a wall as a makeshift test chamber sign, because they couldn't afford to make the proper ones. But yeah, just using contrast and stuff like that to call attention to something does still work. And yeah, the idea is that this very much feels like a mixture of, like, you sort of, like, am I going out of bounds here, or is this the actual intended path? And there are many ways you can actually get over here. You can use the orange shell from here, or you can just bounce down here. If you're good enough, you can also just jump over.
There it was again! Did you see? The Spire is stealing resources from down here as part of its power-up sequence. I don't think it presents an immediate threat to us, but something just feels off. Aperture likes to poke around at anything, no matter how dangerous it is. The fact they discontinued this experiment doesn't really fill me with emotions I would categorize as positive.
What was that?
I don't know, weird. Yeah, the little flashes are actually just a black fade. Like, I'm not changing any of the lights. Worked out nicely, yeah. Yeah, I wanted there to be some level of it. Like, at first, before we came up with the whole idea that Stalin was trying to revive GLaDOS, when he was trying to destroy GLaDOS once and for all, the danger that the Spire posed was that it was unstable after your incident and would soon blow up and, you know, destroy everything. But that, first of all, it felt artificial and not very much like a time constraint, because, I mean, how much, like, I could just stand here for 10 hours and nothing would happen, right? It was a bit like in Mel when Virgil says that that the facility is flooding, and then you look at the water and nothing happens. It just didn't feel tangible, right? So and then later when the threat was changed to be that the Spire doesn't collapse, but rather now it is charging up again by using the resources from down here, like pumping up gels and power and stuff, which is why you've got these like power outages. Yeah, actually, that is very true, Span. You can do that in test chambers, not really in behind the scenes areas. But since this is like still like a test chamber that looks like a behind the scenes area, no, that stuff works. Oh yes, my pretty videos projected on a wall. How much more do we have to play? This act is just... I mean, it is the longest act. There's so much to talk about because we went through so many changes. I think it's also the most interesting one,
Did
in
you
general.
know that Aperture simulates breathing and blinking in its sentient robots? I still have a sort of subconscious reflex to breathe and blink my eye, even though that's not technically necessary. Turns out the human mind doesn't cope well when those functions are removed. Be glad you didn't volunteer for our early mind mapping tests. Those were not good times to be a test subject.
This is one of the few areas, like most of the time when in most of our areas, I did build like either most of it or almost all of it or a major parts of it, but this area was entirely decorated by Monty. I didn't touch this at all. I mean, I built the basic framework for what has to be here, but none of the like details it's all from him, which is really nice. I love how he used verticality as well. Like you have multiple layers. You have the first layer here, and then it all sort of stacks up and towards the top. You can't see any details anymore. It's really nice. I also like small things like this where you're like, we could have also just had a paint pipe that goes straight into that just points onto the floor and there's a surface there, and it would serve the exact same purpose as this, but flinging through this little arch is just so much more fun. So that's why this is here. And also we could use the spraying the like paint fluid again.
Those little moments of like just visual flair because you can are really what like make this such a unique like fun time.
Yep, I think it's really important to have that sort of stuff to make it interesting. It's so, yeah, like those are also things that players don't often immediately notice, right? But when you then play something that doesn't have those moments as much, you can just tell that something is sort of missing. It's just,
Yeah, it feels flat.
Yeah, and I try to have as much of this like unnecessary style. If it doesn't subtract from the substance, I'm always for it.
Yeah. And it feels very Aperture as well. Like there'd be some scientists sitting around and they'd be just like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm bored.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, the dialogue. What did she say again? She talked about the mind map. Yeah, she talked about the mind mapping tests.
Breathing and blinking your eye.
True, that as well.
Was that one?
Yeah, but then also that the test subject is glad to have not volunteered for early mind mapping tests, which it isn't explained what happened, but I just want to get.
Pride.
I want to get the player thinking, like, you know, in horror, the less you explain, the better it is, right? Because you don't know what's happening, so your mind fills everything in. I don't know, maybe they did a mistake and now the subject is just always in pain. Or whatever, right? We don't know.
Horrible.
Yeah. Exactly, I have no mouth, but I must scream, yeah. You're just a fridge, suddenly, forever. It's also very Black Mirror-esque. There's an episode where they, like, scan someone's brain and put her consciousness copy into like a home assistant that is just now here to like prepare breakfast and like turn the lights on and stuff like that.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
It's like in Rick and Morty, like the robot that only passes butter, and it's like
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. There's so much interesting body horror with that.
GLaDOS killed all humans and then got killed herself by a test subject. And what happened since? Why is there nobody here? Did nobody come to investigate this place? Forget about the government. Why does Black Mesa have no interest in what happened here?
Yeah, so somebody asked what about the Mac Moraska interview. I did email him during in that little break often, and he's just very busy. But might happen in March. We'll see. He's just been very busy lately. Yeah, the Black Mesa thing. It's not explored much, but just again hopping back to the Condi finds out what happened to the facility, right? This is actually calling to the Combine invasion, probably. Who knows? Yeah, this is another one of those. We could have just put the entrance at the bottom, but this is just more interesting. Seeing the chamber from up top here, and just a different vantage point. Also, it later helped with the dialogue. To have a little bit of padding. We had this elevator before the dialogue, but yeah, that was a nice. It turned out well. Oh god, this test chamber! How many ways are there to solve this one?
Everybody's favorite one to try and break.
Yeah.
So for context, this is the one that I'm stuck on right now, so I'd really appreciate seeing how I spent like an hour trying to figure out this one.
Well, you don't know how to solve this for real?
No, I don't.
Wow. this isn't really one of the harder chambers in the mod, honestly.
I don't know how.
Yeah, so the idea is this whole area is called gel bending, which I later realized is also like a Avatar: The Last Airbender sort of joke. But yeah, the idea was that you can bend the beams. Previously we introduced it, and here we elaborate on it. which does make use of the blowing vacuum mechanic introduced earlier, so it all makes sense, you know. Very nice. So this is fun because we've got 3 colors. Is there a single puzzle in Portal 2 that has all 3 paints? I think there might be a co-op DLC
yes.
one.
No, in Portal 2, because I played it just the other day. By the other day, I mean potentially a month ago. Yeah, there's one that's like in the 50s area, but it's not super complicated. It's very like you look at it and you go, oh yeah, like it's not very hard.
Like 50s is when they only have blue gel.
There was one of the old aperture areas.
Oh yeah, I mean there's a behind the scenes area, a little one, but no proper like test chamber. Okay, yeah, I guess that counts though. True, I forgot about that one. Yeah, I mean this is mainly for the Pneumatic Diversity event here. So yeah, the idea like the correct way to solve this in my mind, like the way I envisioned, like you know, how I designed the chamber was you would paint this, so you would have to use the suction to bend the beam up, and then you can paint this blue, and then you can paint this blue again with the suction. I would have liked to have the suction used for more than this, but yeah, it's hard to design puzzles around this. And then you do this. And you have 1, 2, 3, boing. I mean, that's just fun, right? This is the fun solution. The boring solution is anything else. So if you, I tried to, like a lot of playtesters and even people from our team didn't solve it this way. They solved it this way. By painting it like that, and then like trying to align this portal to the right height so they would shoot up in one go. Which is just super jank because you have to perfectly align the portal. Yeah, and that's just a much more satisfying solution. And I thought about so many ways to force the good solution onto players. I couldn't think of anyone. I could maybe, you know, change the entire chamber and do a lot of different, like, add a different section here and all of the stuff, but when it's all decorated, you can't really do that. So in the end, I just gave up and added an achievement. So players are, you know, they're made to find the right solution for it. It's obviously more fun. Obviously, but yeah, you can also like use the white shell and like try to get over there and stuff like that to do it in another way. And whatever way you do, if you don't do it my way, it's always the boring way. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that where it's just players seek deeper meaning, but it's actually just a little developer joke. And then one of my favorite lines coming up here.
Well done, test subject. You have just completed another test. Congratulations on contributing once again to the future of science. Feel welcome to pause at any moment. There's cake and beverages in the break room.
Yeah, we talked about it before. All inspired by us, you know. Everyone has this experience when they first hear their own voice. They just don't want to listen to it. And I can imagine that, Sarah, when you play this in 10 years, you're gonna think the exact same.
Very potentially. I'll be like, ooh.
Turn it off.
Oh my god. Yeah, like somewhere down the line, some relative will find it and be like, ah, and I'll be like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I'll be really proud. There are two ways this can go.
Yeah, who knows? I hope you're gonna be just like the latter one. But yeah, I mean the dialogue, I just like wrote the most generic sort of like, congratulations, you did so well, very nice. So she just rambles on for way too long, and then again it's Condi's like over enthusiastic voice, and this is where the break room would be, I guess. And then Reed Condi is just freaking out. Yeah.
Yes, the deep embarrassment of having like your friends or someone you know come across something you're embarrassed about. They've just like opened the wrong drawer in your house and you've gone, oh dear. Like
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I used to do YouTube videos that aren't like Portal, that are like my face and my voice before. And when some, I mean, even if it isn't, when someone else watches your own video with you there on their phone, it's the most awkward thing ever. It's just horrible. Like, no matter how good the video is, or no matter how good the thing is, it's just always awkward. Like, that was what inspired me. But yeah, that's very true. And then we elaborate on the joke here.
Looks like I turned myself off.
Yeah, I dabbled in voice acting when I first joined the company as an intern. That was so long ago. Please, just forget everything you heard down there.
Yeah.
I really like oh gosh. Oh no. I had a thought and it deleted itself the moment I opened my mouth.
Well, what do you think? This area was decorated by Ace and Monty as a collaboration between the two. Yes, very good. I'm done. Do you remember it now?
Oh, yeah. Were we gonna put like a like a power down noise, like in that section?
Yeah,
where she's just like, I turned that off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never made it in.
Yeah, I mean, at first, because her turning us off thing was because now this is not a test chamber. It's some random behind the scenes area, and to explain why we're now here, I wanted to like, the idea is that because she turned herself off, the lift wasn't routed properly and stuff like that. And before we had her like think too much, like she thinks, let's start thinking iteratively again, a stupid programmer joke. She thought too recursively, but then I thought that joke was a bit reminiscent of Portal 2 with the what's it called, the paradoxes, and I thought about why we don't hear her voice before, and then I thought maybe she turns it off because she's embarrassed by it, and then that whole thing came about. So yeah. Yeah, that sound. Yeah, just never made it.
Well.
I don't know if this is supposed to be a test chamber. If it is, our chamber budget has officially hit a new low.
Funny enough,
I
this
really
is
had trouble with this one.
trouble. Like, I mean, yeah, maybe you just don't know where to go. I can try to use yellow to guide where you have to go. Like there's yellow up here and over here, and this is like lit in, you know, with orange lights, and it always like follows where you have to go. Not super obvious, but yeah, it's also a bit more of an exploration area. But yeah, interestingly, this is actually, like, the geometry of this is inspired by a real cinema that's in Vienna.
Oh.
It's the most aperture place I've ever seen. Like, this shot here, this area sort of here was built, like, was the inspiration. All of the rest is, you know, just making shit up. But yeah, that cinema has the cinema, like, booths in these boxes, and they almost look like test chambers, and you can, like, you can walk around them, like the way you go to the cinema is you walk around like behind the scenes sort of areas, and then there's like a staircase that goes into the booths. I mean, they're not just this high up, but and they have actual like catwalks that look exactly like the ones in Aperture, going like into the projector rooms, and it's so like it is like stacked up on like 3 floors, and they have this staircase for the toilets. There is like this toilet tower in the middle where they've got toilets stacked up, which is like you know, women's toilets, men's woman, what's we call it? Yeah, whatever. All stacked weirdly, and there's elevators and catwalks everywhere, and it looks so much like Aperture. Like, it's the most Aperture space I've ever seen.
God.
And that's what, and then I thought I gotta rebuild this in Portal, and it worked quite nicely, as it just turned into like a conversion shell thing. It's such a cool space, you know. What I'm doing now is the sort of intended path. There are many ways to solve this, but this is like the one that I, you know, built a chamber on, because you gotta have one. So you fling yourself up here. Then you could find. Don't have enough gel here.
I forgot that you don't take full damage.
The minor moment of panic of being just like, oh, about to see a game over screen.
Yeah, it's really, it is really funny when you like Boneworks. It's a VR game. It doesn't have fall damage either, but when you fall like in VR like that, oof. Yeah, it's quite the experience. Yeah. Oh.
Oh, you got it. Never mind.
I did it. Yeah, and then you fling up here. And this like maneuver here was sort of meant to, if you do this route, to sort of teach that you can walk up here, right? So then you would think, okay, to get over here, how can I get on the pipe? How can I get on here? Of course, players always do this in different ways. But yeah, I kind of like these more open-ended chambers where players sort of experiment. Okay, this doesn't work. This doesn't really do anything for me, and then at some point they find a solution that actually works.
I forgot what I did here, but it took like only like a minute and a half.
Yeah, there's so many ways to do this, and some players struggle more than others. This is quite funny because down below, like this beam, this is bent, so the paint has a certain trajectory. But if you put it on a sloped surface like here, the paint just goes straight up. So it's not very useful if you want it to shoot out like this way. So here, I thought it would be cool to have this like platform that you can shift over, which makes no sense in Aperture, but whatever. Like, why would this be here? But who knows? So yeah, the idea is then here, if you try to use the, let me just quickly cheat. If you then use this gel, it just wouldn't do anything for you. So you couldn't shoot gel up here. So you would think, hey, you know, what if I can use the cube to block this off, and now I have a different trajectory. And now this actually, you know, it's all the way up here, and I can paint this wall. Very late in development I added this, because previously we would just be finished here. But I thought, you know what, let's add a final challenge here. And here it is actually more useful to not have the straight trajectory. But you can still do it with the straight one.
How did I solve this?
You did it really weirdly, I guess.
I was just doing stuff and it kept working, and then I like never gave it a second thought. I don't remember what I did.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't even really one, perfect way. There are just many ways to do it. It's more of a playground. There we go. Yeah. This area is another one of those. I built the skeleton down there, of like the what the gameplay should be, but most of the stuff off to the side, like all of this, was built by Monty again. It's one of his first contributions to the project. And it's still here, unchanged.
How many chambers are there left? Like 3?
Yeah, next should be...
Turns out that wasn't a chamber. At least
Next should be back to Flings, and then there's only hanging
we don't need to listen to that again.
2 maps, I guess. As if I'm forgetting something. Yeah, and then the whole idea that she turns off the speakers herself. She's too embarrassed. I thought it was funny. Yeah, this is Flings now.
That looks more like a chamber. You know what? I actually remember this one. It's collected some dust, but looks pretty much unchanged. Most of our tests get updated when we find a critical design flaw. Seems like this one survived the test of time.
Obviously it's a meta commentary. Because it is actually an old chamber. This is again from like earliest 2018. And went through a complete visual overhaul shortly before we got source code access. And I just had the player enter through this observation room just for fun, I guess. And then later, when we did the whole reshuffle, because previously it's climbed, right, which is a behind the scenes area, it makes sense that now we just enter this through a behind the scenes area, and then we enter it on the side again. And I think this is also just so fun. I think I originally made this just to sort of show the player what the layout of the chamber is before they actually enter it, which I thought was fun. Always liked that sort of stuff. Yeah, the like in the universe, the intended path is going through here, but we go through here because we were off track. This is one of my. This is I think this looks so nice. Originally, you would just the entrance was just a catwalk up there, and then this was all this was a bottomless pit, and it was all more like modern aperture, very blue fog and stuff. Then I did a whole redesign. Visual change, and I added this rock that this almost like the acid is eating through the rock slowly and is exposing the tubes and all of that stuff. Thought it was a cool visual to show, and from there this whole thing just came to be. I was very proud of this when I made this, but still, I still am. But that was one of those oh shit moments. And yeah, this is also a Complementar place. Which, funny thing, Complementar actually used to play in the map where you enter through the vac tube. And you have to push off the box with the vac tube. Jared, you remixed this track.
Yeah.
How did you approach the remixes in general?
I wanted to keep most of the original instruments kind of the same, so they're recognizable, but also add a little sort of metallic industrial elements to it. I didn't change much.
Yeah, I think it turned out really well because they definitely. The problem we had was a lot of the beta OST for most of the early stages of Revolution were all made by composer Zero Eslon, and then we, Srivasan just wasn't really interested in music anymore, whatever. But basically, like, dropped the project on good terms. Like, we still chat and all. And her music, she made so much music, and I wanted to still use it, but I also was looking for a new composer. So I found Jared, and also on Casting Call Club, funnily enough. Why were you on Casting Call Club as a music composer?
Because they got a music composer.
Yeah, I mean, they have a section there, but I found it so funny that a site called Casting Call Club, which in my mind sounds like,
well,
voice acting, also has music stuff in there.
I was there for voice work first, but then I was like, oh wait, there's a music role. Let me do that instead because I don't have good mic equipment.
Really, you also did voice. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. That was pretty good. If I don't say so myself.
Hey.
That's funny. Imagine you've been Sterling. But yeah, your remix. I basically then said, hey, let's try to remix those original tracks to fit better with the style, with the audio, like with the sound that Jared has. And I think you did a fantastic job at keeping the original essence while still making it sound, like your other tracks, so they all mix very well. So yeah, this chamber was made earliest 2018. Yeah, this used to actually be chamber 2 in the series. Now it's like the second to last. Because there's so much that you have to teach players before they get to this point. Yeah. I think this was really fun to this was when I experimented with having a vacuum tube that has an input and an output. Was one of my first ever experiments. And I thought it would be cool to have it shoot into a tractor beam so you would kind of catch it. And that's where the whole, that's how the chamber started. My chambers always have a core element, and then I just elaborate from there. I just add difficulty by adding, multiple things that you have to do. But the core concept was just input, output, shoot into that tractor beam. That was it. Because I solve my own test chambers sometimes. But yeah. I put so much effort into the ceiling here for this. This is crazy detailed. With this stuff, I always try to I try to have different sort of heights. Like you have this sort of fake ceiling here, which closes off right where the chamber contents end, and then you've got other stuff above it. So if this was just open, it would look a bit too open, and with this, it sort of feels like you're still in a chamber. Up above, it's just stuff. Right, I can just put this up there. And now... Yay! I really like the little, almost like landslide looking stuff here. Especially down here. And here, this where it's eating away at the rock. That was the idea.
I thought you were about to fall.
I have no clip. I have cheats.
I thought it was gonna be like a Wile E. Coyote situation or something.
Just one more chamber.
I was very much surprised by the reception of this area. I mean, I agree that it looks good, but I made this shortly before I uploaded that gameplay video. In 20 minutes or something. I just cobbled this thing together and it turned out to be one of the coolest looking areas in the mod. Mainly because of the lighting and the cool signs and all. I just wanted to sort of emphasize, previously we went through cargo tubes, cargo elevators, and now this is the first proper modern elevator, but it's still like crappy looking. They don't have the proper array of everything yet, like array of monitors. They just have a few monitors. To show that it's like in work in progress. This is the last chamber of the act. Yay.
So soon.
Yippee!
Yeah, so quick.
3 hours in. Yeah.
So quick.
Last chamber. The surface elevator is right after. Just don't look down. Or fall down either. That shaft goes all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, again, sometimes entire maps are just born from a single visual idea, like feeling that you want to capture. And here the feeling was basically Vertigo, like having a chamber. With my commentary, you guys will notice that I love putting things above the player and stuff like that. And here the idea was that you're now hanging off the ceiling in a test chamber, like in the previous thing with the turrets. And here you're now in the chamber, and down below is just nothing, and there's also nothing around you, so you're just sort of hung there in the middle of nowhere. And because I feel like those sort of environments are, because they're really precarious, they're very interesting. And I also got a chance to explore Conley's fear of heights more. I could have just, at first actually wanted to just have, a catwalk that connects to the entrance, but then I thought, I really wanted to play with the players like Vertigo. So entering the test chamber, you have to fling over the large gap and land on like the most precarious catwalk that, shakes and does all of this stuff as you land on it. Then we also have Conley screaming. We can talk about the scream in a minute. There's a little fling here. I like stuff like this. Always try to align the players of where they have to shoot. How long did it take to record that line? Says Sarah, not Conley. Her name is not Conley.
Sarah. Look, we all kind of hate trying to record screams, let's be real. But I did eventually get it. I had to like stand like a meter away from my mic to make it work. And I did need to not talk for the rest of the day because I'd been like trying so many different like volumes. But yeah, it worked out. It's all good.
It worked. The final version was so good. But yeah, even when I mean, this is the first time I've directed someone, right? But I had this like instinct that this is gonna take a while, and it was true.
Yeah.
It took a few attempts, but the final one I'm very happy with. A scream is difficult to voice act.
It's difficult to do. I because I was struggling with it. I messaged some voice acting friends of mine. I was like, does anybody have any tips? Because this is like it's ridiculous that this is so hard. And they were all like, no, it is really hard. Especially when like you're working like when the microphones that you're working with, like I don't have like a professional audio designer like at my back who can do that kind of thing for me. Mm-hmm. Like unfortunately I do not have like Adele's like guy on standby who is used to recording really loud changing pitches all the time. If I did, life would be so good. But alas.
Yeah, it kind of sucks doing all that.
That's some dedication, though. Destroying your voice for a day, just to get the perfect line.
I'd have to like pause the recording, turn down my mic volume to do it, and do stuff like that. It's so just tedious.
With the gains.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get it wrong. Like you turn the gains down too much, and then you gotta like, you can't hear anything. Like you lose all the depth, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, one thing I did appreciate about the voice work was also that you guys were totally on board with also splitting up all of the lines into individual files. so like it was the right format to get it into a game, because I mean also Jared with your music, because this is something that I experienced I mean with all kinds of assets. Rory also had some troubles getting stuff into Source at the beginning, because it's just
getting anything into Source Engine sucks.
Yeah, right. It's just okay. You can get it to work in Blender, or you can make this. Do I hear chips again?
No, I just stood up.
Okay.
I'm sitting in bed.
But yeah, you can make it work in your audio editing program or anything, but it doesn't matter if you can't get it into the engine. Like that's all and so Source is very particular about what sort of formats it can support. Audio, it can only do WAV files with 44100 is it bit it's not bit rate, whatever, bit depth or something, 10-bit, a 16-bit PCM, and all of that stuff. And the sounds have to be very loud, because the Source Engine can only make sounds quieter, not louder, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of back and forth at the beginning when you get new people on the Source Engine to get the formats right. And I mean, I also had automated ways to convert it all, but you guys then eventually always delivered the correct files, the correct format, correct naming convention, everything. That was very satisfying for me, because I mean, I hate to ask more of people than is in the job description. Like voice actor doesn't really include audio engineer as well, but I was always happy to lift some work off my shoulders, because I was already doing so much. And even if you have the WAV file, you also have to do so much more work to get it into engine. Like you have to make a sound script and write subtitles and create a choreographed scene and do all of this extra work on top for a single voice line. So getting the voices in the game was a tremendous effort. It took so long.
Worth it though.
Totally, but yeah.
Absolutely, but yeah, no, gosh. When I look at the amount of work you guys put in, it's Herculean, incredible.
It's a lot. Someone asked what led us to make this on Stratosource versus original. I asked for Portal, I wanted code access so I can modify the engine. Then I collabed with a guy called Alex Zero to create P2C, and then we offered Momentum Mod to use, to try to get them licensed, and then we decided to share our code base. We called that Chaos Source, then was rebranded to Stratosource. It wasn't like our team asked Chaos Source, can we use it, but rather I co-founded Stratosource, that's how that came to be. Your favorite image here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it's another one of those little things that, those little style things that you just. I mean, these ideas only come with a lot of time, right? You can't. I mean, whatever. Creativity is really difficult, and we had a very small team. And whenever I get asked, hey, how do you come up with this idea? It's just, you just get them over the time. And I don't know how we get them either. I mean, sometimes you can sit down and think about, hey, let's design a chamber like this, okay. But these little nuggets, they just arrive naturally. So yeah, here again, we have the entrance with the whole vertical thing, and then here you travel through here, you're underneath the test chambers with nothing below you. You get flung all over the place, then you jump down here, and the floor falls apart. So many places where I just try to play on height, fear of heights.
Wow. I never noticed that floor fell apart.
Yeah, a lot of players they don't look down, they look away, on the side. Yeah, you can't have every player notice everything all the time. sadly. Maybe with some better framing it could have worked so everyone notices it, but you also gotta consider how much time you want to invest in something so small. So yeah, and then here again, you have to like walk on this bridge over the nothing pit, and then fling over it like this. Like you have to consciously make the choice to remove the light bridge. Oh, hi, Ace.
Hi.
We're almost done.
Yeah.
I saw you in chat a bit,
Yeah.
so you've been here apparently.
I
Good you made
joined
it.
for like 30 seconds earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, I accidentally announced it for yesterday. That was because I didn't realize it was 2 AM, so I, did a +1 error. So sorry about that.
Yeah, I'll try and be there for Act 4.
Yeah, sure. I'll
The
see when we
last
do that.
chance.
Yeah. Did anyone else decorate anything in this chamber, or this was all me, I think, wasn't it?
Well, I did the logic for the all panels, like just making sure that if you missed it, they wouldn't just fall when you walked over top of it.
Right, you fixed that, yeah, but I created them in first place.
Yeah, I created it.
Okay.
I just fixed it.
Yeah. It touched up little things here.
I think, yeah, I
most
think I had,
important
like, a
job,
couple
Ace.
little details here and there. Yeah. Added
Very
some
good job
doors
on
and
that.
cabinets and stuff. Yeah.
Where did you add doors?
Some of the- over by the fling area when you first enter, I think I added like a little door just down in that BTS, like the when you enter the chamber.
Oh,
The chamber, but like
right.
the level. I added like a door on the bottom. Yeah, door down, up there and down there. I added door.
There's a door down here.
Yeah, there's a door.
I never noticed that ever. So dark in the corner. It's not even a staircase or anything. You have to walk all the way. There's like along here, this precarious walkway. It's funny, but yeah, this is again one of my favorite. I say this for everything, but this act is just full of like my favorite areas. I also just love the like this is like you have this large area here. This like almost like a chasm, like a little ravine sort of thing of the two chambers. And then here you've got this little boxy area with the behind the scenes areas, and you look up and there's all of this little stuff here. So much little cool stuff to look at.
Hey, hey! I need you to carry me up the elevator. We've done this before, so be ready to catch me.
I think we wanted to have different. I think we wanted. Monty suggested that we should have different voice lines depending on what happens. So if she hits the floor, she says she's like disappointed at you or something. When you catch her, she's happy. When you balance her on your head, which you can do, she says something. But then, I mean, this was already very close to completion, and you were not available anymore because you were on vacation. So that whole was was just yeah.
Look, we can still do it.
I don't really want to
That
do
was
too many
solid.
post-release updates.
Yeah, this is solid. Maybe not. Like,
Well, there's still the one thing we have to add at some point, I think.
Oh yeah, maybe use that somewhere else. We'll have to talk about that, yeah.
We're becoming quite good at this.
But I also I like
Elevator is right through here.
I like the little like shifty like
Oh.
move.
Oh yeah, and she comes in like on
She- yeah. Yeah.
And then comes the greatest animation for her.
Oh god, this animation.
Quite cozy. I'm sure we can stuff ourselves in there.
I just found that animation. It was all like it was pre-made.
very
It's
funny.
called like sphere something flirt, okay? And then,
Seriously?
yeah, this is animation that exists in Portal 2. And then I just dragged it there and thought, let's just try it, put it in, played it, and I thought it was funny. And then we thought, nah, this is ridiculous, we'll change this. And then we just never changed it for anything else. So now it's here.
So clearly, Portal 2 was originally going to be
Yeah.
a dating simulator.
Ah, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I
before,
think they're probably glad that it's seen the light of day.
after we
Was
were,
it ever used
some
by any of the cores and
employee-
stuff?
it is used in a developer commentary thing. Nowhere else, from what I know.
Nowhere else.
I'm just imagining like does like the Adventure Core use it? Because that would be.
Oh,
It might.
That makes sense.
True.
yeah, I think he does use it.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
I've only remember it in the developer commentary for Wheatley, because they have a lot of like animations that they play for Wheatley. There, I don't remember it being used anywhere else apart from that, but they probably do. There's also an animation for the core being fizzled and like shivering, like oh. I thought I wanted to use that, but I never really
Yeah,
did
I
it.
think Mel used that when Virgil went through the leaves.
Yeah, but I wanted to actually have it like you carry Conley through like a fizzler, and then she's like whoa, oh, you know, and says something like maybe I hope you didn't fry my RAM or something, whatever. But yeah.
Her knowledge of the test chamber gets left behind in the test chamber when you go through a fizzler.
Yeah, that would actually have been so funny. Like she says, "Oh, I know how to solve this test chamber." Then you go through, and she's like, "What do you mean? What is this?" She completely forgot.
What test chamber?
What's the test chamber? Anything else you guys want to say? Because this is the end of the act.
Act 4 is
no.
cool.
Act 4 is really fun.
Let's actually
Looking
finish
forward-
properly, because there's one more line.
Never thought I'd miss the car park. We're almost out of here.
The car park. A callback to where GLaDOS is.
I think it's funny that I looked up because someone found where the background for the car park was on Twitter
Yeah.
and stuff in Portal 1, and I looked it up, and it's like a 20-minute drive from where I am, so I kind of need to go there.
You have to.
I have to, and I have to take a higher resolution picture because that is
Yes. And then you work at Valve, and then you fix it finally.
exactly.
Okay, so now we're actually at the end of the
Yeah,
act.
cut off.
Yippee!
So true.
How long are we at? 3 hours and 40 minutes.
It's been a while. Gosh, what a good time.
Yeah.
I've been playing Minecraft this whole time while we've been chatting, and I've made some excellent decoration progress.
That's a good time investment. You have to show me that.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
take a screenshot and put it in the Discord.
Yeah.
I was
Also,
working on Game Jam.
we also have the menu background, which I feel like a lot of people don't even see these, because if you finish the whole game in one go, then you don't see these at all.
Yeah, true.
And these are full
Yeah.
background
It also
maps.
doesn't feel like the update, because sometimes I'll play like an A3 map, and then I'll go back to the main menu, and it's still on A
No,
the menu.
yeah, this only takes into account how far you are in the game. So if you finish the game, you will always see the post game thing. I thought about adding an option to override which background you have. I might still do that, because I feel like it's a shame
That'd
that
be
these aren't seen by many people.
Yeah, I've spent like 30 some minutes on this, and no one gets to see it.
Yeah, this was like all of the logic was all you. You just took a finished map and added. We had the idea that the turrets would just be so bored that they start shooting the walls and eventually each other.
And then you can actually see it in the map where that turret is. You see a little scorch mark left behind.
Yeah.
As if all of these things that happen in the menu predate when you actually get there in the game.
Yeah, true, it
That's
does.
fun. I like that.
I mean, it makes sense because the turrets are there. all standing, you know. So of course it is. But yeah, that coffee stain. When I saw that, I was like, no, you didn't. I know how you did this. No, you didn't. Who did this? Wasn't this Monty, or was this you?
Yeah, Monty,
yeah, Monty's one contribution to this area was that. Or what else did you do here? Or did you just add the coffee stain?
I think he also fixed the lighting a bit. I think the lighting was kind of funky.
Right, yeah. Yeah, there he shoots the turret.
Well, I'm gonna head out.
Alright, see ya. Thanks for joining. We're gonna stop this anyway in a minute.
Of course, see ya.
Yes. I'm probably not very far behind you. I'll catch you all when I catch yous. Thanks for having us. Thanks all in the chat for being here and asking your questions and interacting. That was really fun.
Yep. Thanks to the 24 to 26 people who watched this.
There were like 30 something at one point.
Yeah, not as many as in the first stream anymore, where we had 100 people watching. But that's to be expected.
Right.
Alright,
Anyway.
see ya.
See ya.
Well.
So it was just 2.
And there was 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, all of you can just enter map and then menu act, and then or like just menu underscore, and you have all of the background maps, so you can just load these up in game and explore them yourself. Oh, actually, I might have to. Yeah, you have to run.
You have to disable the camera.
What is it? I think it's just called camera turn off. What is it? Is it disable? Yeah. Yeah, and then you can just walk around. You did a lot of
There's not
pruning. Yeah.
There's very little of the original map left.
Yeah, yeah. After you pruned the companion cube chamber, you know, so there's basically nothing there anymore. I thought, you know what, you're gonna make the background maps. You're good at deleting things that are just off the corner of the screen.
Yeah.
You can't even. Guess what? These props could have been deleted as well. No.
I
No.
think that's an instance.
Yeah, it is. Could have collapsed the instance.
Oh,
No, 2 kilobytes right there.
No. Little Timmy's PC is gonna burn up because of
Yeah.
those couple props.
Yeah, this is actually much brighter than it is in the real full map, because if you, it just looked better from here. If you can actually see the orange a bit more. Alright, well, thanks everyone for listening to this. I hope it was interesting. We'll see you all in Act 4.